Special Operations, Covert Ops, Espionage, The Team House, with your hosts, Jack Murphy and David Park.
That audio.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 203 of The Team House. I'm Jack Murphy, here with David Park, and our guest tonight is Kate of Zero Block 30 fame on Barstool Sports. We've hit the trifecta. We had Chaps on. We had him on twice, actually, I believe. Mm-hmm. We had Captain Cons on for episode 200.
Yep.
And now Kate.
Finally, you got the good one. It took you long enough, but here I am.
Well, you got to churn through the grist, you know.
We had to get the street cred.
Right. I had to listen to that, and I was like, fine, they pass. I'll come in. I'll take this off my busy schedule and get in here. But thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Thanks for coming out.
We're glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
It's always like super cool to have people come in studio. So thanks for making the trek out here.
Yeah, I'm just here to make a good show for women in the military, and that we can be a good time too. And I will also say though that I am pregnant and you can't smoke in here, and I'm not drinking. So sorry.
Speaking of women in the military, Kate, what's your origin story? Like, how'd you grow up? What led you to the military? How'd you get your superpowers?
I want to say that like it was something really noble, but it was more that I was a huge piece of shit in college, and that's what happened. No, I went to didn't know anyone in the military. I had one uncle who served, who flew F-16s, but that was it. And my dad was like one of 13 kids, and it was only one of them served in the military. Like, I didn't know anybody, and so it was like, oh, the path is you go to college. Went to college to play field hockey, and then the rugby girls were like, that's boring, come play rugby with us. Got super into rugby. It's like, I'm going to be the Tommy boy of my rugby house. And that's what I aspire to be. And I was the one on a Monday night being like, who's coming to the bars? And, like everyone else like started slowing down, and I was the one who like didn't get it.
Right.
I was like, come on, it's a Tuesday, bitches, let's go. And eventually I found myself as a senior in college with a 1.8 GPA. I was a little bit into drugs. Okay.
You were a little Lebowski achiever.
I was a little Lebowski achiever, and I started to like really hate myself, and I started to actually feel really bad. Like, I was lying to my parents, I was being shitty to my friends. I couldn't see. I was like, I'm gonna graduate with like a 2.0 in communications and do what? Like, I don't know. And those Marine Corps commercials started looking pretty good. I was like, how do I make my family love me again? Okay, how do I pull that off? And basically my senior year, I got arrested. I was out on my stoop, and this guy came up and was like, you rugby girls are crazy, you know, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know it was a cop. And I was like, you're damn right we are. I threw a 40 ounce in the street. Long story short, I ended up having to do like community service, all this shit. I got kicked out of college.
That sounds like entrapment to me.
It was, but I couldn't afford a lawyer at the time. So anyway, look at you, Indiana University of Pennsylvania Police. Anyway, long story short, I ended up having to go home for Christmas break, and my parents were like, we're just packing. You're done. You're like one semester away, but we're like, you're done. We're not paying another dime. And it was over Christmas break where I was like, how do I redeem myself? What the fuck do I do? So I went to a recruiter. I like literally walked in. I was like, I know I need the biggest ass kicking because I'm like, I hated myself. I was like, you're such a piece of shit. And in my civilian, like, didn't know anything about the military point of view, the Marine Corps was like the most noble. It's the dress blues. It's the dress blues.
It is the dress blues.
It was that commercial
and
with
the
dragon.
Commercials. Yeah.
The dragon one,
like they always.
That was in my head.
The Marine Corps knocks it out of the park with the commercials.
Yes. I was like, this is the one where I could really. And so I walked into a recruiting office. I will say this too. My mom was like, before you even think, go look at all of them. And I went to the Army recruiter, and he was like, this is the one you want to do. It's easy, bonus. And I was like, okay, that's like, I wanted an ass kicking. So I walked right into the Marine Corps recruiter's office and was like, one ticket to Paris Island, please. Like, he was like, I was like, you don't need to sell me on anything. I'm that dumb. Just sign me right up. And so I wish it was something noble. It was 9/11 in my, I mean, that is part of the reason I started looking at the military was like, I truly did feel like that's where I could actually do something. And it felt like they were actually doing something at a time where it felt important. So yeah, and that was back in 2008. And so that's how I wound up joining.
Sorry,
I'm a rambler. I like talking.
No,
about
I
it.
like
That's
it.
great.
Okay.
When you went
Yeah.
into the recruiter, I mean, did you have an idea of the jobs available to you? Did you care? Did you not care?
I said, I don't want to be behind a desk. I want to be like out. I saw all the commercials and I was like, I want to be out there.
Slaying
Where's
dragons.
my sword?
Yeah,
How soon do I
exactly.
get my sword? My mama. So anyway, I said that. And because I'm 5'9" or something, I don't know if this is recruiter BS. He's like, we can sign you up to be military police. And military police has like two sides to it, where there's the cop side, but there's also something called field MP that we might actually, like, depends on how you do an MP school, but that could be a route you take where it's like, again, recruiter talk. He sold it to me. It's the grunts of the pokes, field MP is like, and I was like,
writing the tickets for not wearing safety belts.
Yeah. I was like, that's good. But actually, I thought the cop route would be smart. Oh, I'll be a cop in the military and then I'll get out and be a cop somewhere. It's like, there, my future is set. That's super easy. So I went and I like really put my heart and soul into it. Like I was so earnest and being like at boot camp, I'm going to change and I'm going to be better. And like, it really did. Like I've never stood taller in my life than I did the day I graduated boot camp and my parents were like, you're not a piece of shit anymore. Or so, like, you have a paycheck so you can start paying us back for that waste of college. But it really, like, as corny as it sounds, it like really did change the whole trajectory of my life to something positive. Like it was the best thing I ever did for myself. Went to MP school from there. And then once I graduated, like half of MP school was the police stuff. And then the other half was like field training.
Can you tell us what the difference is?
Yeah. So literally the first part was like at Fort Leonard Wood, like standing in the middle of a traffic circle with a whistle and like directing like police stuff, like doing the evoc or whatever and the car, like cop car stuff and like learning the UCMJ and all that stuff. And then halfway through you switch and it's all like mount training and it was like infantry megalite. Like that, like an infantry person would probably hate to even hear it compared. It's not comparable. But the point was they were doing police mentoring teams in Iraq and Afghanistan. Okay. And so it was like, we'll send these people who have the police training and the field training to go help train the Iraqi police and the Afghan police was like the idea, I think.
Was that a fairly new thing that the MP split like that? Or
I don't know what the history of it is, but I'm pretty sure it was once these police mentoring teams started is when they really started doing that again at Fort Leonard Wood. And so when it got time to be placed, I thought I was going to get stuck in policing at some base somewhere, which was fine by me, but they're like, you got field side. And so I ended up in a field side unit that was brand new out at Camp Pendleton. And it was great from there. Yeah, I got really lucky, I think. So, yeah.
And so you did like the basic MP stuff.
Yeah.
And then you did like an infantry like kind of field training type of thing. Did they, because a lot of the function at that time was, teaching the indigenous, did you go through any sort of instructor training type of things?
Yeah, we did. So when I got put in the field unit, again, all we did all day, it had nothing to do with we were totally separate, lived in separate barracks than the police MPs. We were, again, like I hate comparing it to infantry, it was like light, but all we did was train to deploy. It was, the whole point was you're going to deploy to Iraq or Afghanistan and you're going to be going out on patrols with these police and like training them on policing and blah blah blah. So did that for like over a year and you're going on the hikes, they would bring in Afghans to the mount towns, like Afghan Americans, and you would do actual, like all sorts of actual training and stuff like that. And I was the only woman in my unit, and when it came time, they got tapped to do their deployments and they were going to be broken up. Say there's like 80 in the unit. They were breaking up into teams of 5 to go get sent to the different infantry battalions across Afghanistan to help the police mentoring teams. And they kind of had a draft. And at the end of the draft, I was the only one who wasn't picked to deploy because of the rules at the time. Women weren't allowed to go outside the wire. And so I was like, I just trained with you guys. And I just trained with you guys. I kept up. I did better than most of you. And I can't deploy with my brothers because pussy, come on. So I remember calling my dad crying because I wasn't going to be able to deploy like with my brothers.
Yeah.
And it was like fucking devastating to me. So then I had an awesome staff sergeant who was like, don't worry, I got you. He had just heard about the female engagement teams, which was going to be there was lionesses before. There's a lot of women who came before us in this, but it was like this gray area loophole where women could get attached to infantry units to help them. Like, you can't search half the population because of the cultural rules and all that stuff.
Right.
And so this was going to be the Marine Corps' first all-woman unit, who was going to be split up in a similar way to the PMT teams. Like, 2 of you here with like 3-6 Echo, 2 of you here with 2-9 whatever, like, you know, split up like that. And I ended up getting into that unit. And so then I was able to deploy same time as my guys, even though I couldn't be with them. But that was like my loophole.
This was the Marine Corps' equivalent of what in the Army was the CSTs, right?
Cultural support teams.
Yeah, probably. They always had to like word it specifically and like.
But I think that the Lionesses were the very first.
Oh
right?
yeah.
The Lionesses were the first.
Yep.
And then the female engagement teams were next, and then I think the CSTs. Right?
Yeah, because when I was in Iraq in 2010, we worked with a FET team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in Afghanistan in 2010, and that was the FET teams were then. That by then that had started. Like, Lioness was first, and then that.
Because the Lioness was more of an informal type of thing, right? Where it's like, hey, like, there's this cultural barrier. And, you know, and I, look, say what you will about the U.S. military, you know, but it did recognize that you can't just go in there and manhandle women or whatever.
Right, especially if you're going for hearts and minds.
For
and,
Afghanistan,
you know,
in a place where, you know, the sexes are so segregated.
Yep.
And so this was the solution at first. Like, at first it was just like, take fit, intelligent women that can manage, that can move with these guys.
Yeah.
In very austere conditions. Mm-hmm. And then it sort of became more formalized after that.
Yeah, this was the first one that, like, we actually trained for, I forget how many months, but like 7 months of intense language training, ton of mount training. They actually then set us up with an infantry battalion, and we were training with them, like doing the same stuff as them for a lot of the time. It was like the first, like, really intentional, instead of just, we got to pull this lady from the chow hall and send her out with these guys. It was like the first, like, intentional thing.
Yeah,
and
it
was awesome because it was like, like when we would march past, everybody was like, that's the biggest group of women Marines we've ever seen together at once. Like, it was like seeing a unicorn, because normally, like, I was the only woman in my unit, and a lot of the other women, like, were also the only ones in theirs, kind of thing. And so it was awesome. And we were from across every MOS. We had like cooks and communications and all kinds of shit, but awesome women, awesome group. It was a pretty amazing experience. Yeah.
So how were you, like, when you deployed, how were you received by your unit?
I will say this. It's where I kind of credit it to the job that I eventually ended up getting today, like my dream job. I had to develop my sense of humor real quick. I found that the biggest way to, like, win them over was to be funny. Mm-hmm. And I was like dancing like a clown. Like, let me get it. But it really depended on, so like I got sent to, first it was 3-6, and then they switched out halfway with 2-9, so I stayed with them, but it was in Marja in the spring of 2010, like one of the most kinetic places during one of the, like, the most difficult times. And 3-6 was halfway through their deployment. I got there right after that main offensive where, like, they had just lost so many people and so many guys. And I come off the helicopter like, hi, I'm Kate. I'm here to get the ladies' sewing machines. And they were like, kindly go fuck yourself. Like, and I was like, I get it. That's fair enough. Fair enough. I get it. But so that was like a tough sell at first. And depending on where they needed us, so like, we would do a week at a vehicle checkpoint where they were expecting, because in full burqa, like, who knows?
Right.
They couldn't touch those women. They couldn't look at them. Who knows what? A guy can miss his fire it up and toss that on and go right through and nobody would know.
Yeah.
So we would do like a week at a vehicle checkpoint with, 3-6 Bravo, and then a week over here at 72-hour bridge with the artillery guys doing XYZ, and like, we were utilized all over the place. And depending on the leadership, the small unit leadership of where we went, totally depended on how we were received. And I found that we would go, my favorite was 2-9 Echo. They were the best. We got there, they had a Sergeant Clubmate, who, like, everyone, they would have followed him, like, and he pulled his guys and was like, they're here. I don't care whether you like it or not. Here's their capabilities. Like, nobody fucking say shit. They're coming out with, like, he just, like, laid the law down and they listened. They were like, okay. And it ended up being like, we got utilized in all sorts of ways. Like, it just ended up being like, I think good for them and really good for us. And then there was units where, like, I remember this captain, as soon as we got there, he's like, can you even jump the canals? Can you even do this and that? Like you're a burden to us. And just sitting in my tent all day, not doing anything. And I'm like, okay, this sucks. What's
Now,
the point of this?
were they all infantry units? Was that captain an infantry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were all infantry.
So,
Yeah.
so when they would, and maybe they weren't doing this, but like when they would go into a village, they didn't recognize there was an issue with them not being able to talk to the women of that village.
I think whether they did or not, it was so strong sometimes just not wanting us there that it just didn't matter. Like if that, maybe I have a chip on my shoulder, but like sometimes the vibe was so strong that it was like they couldn't have cared less. If I had a magic wand that could fix that, they'd be like, no, thank you, we're fine. Like it's just like, but yeah, it totally depended on what the leadership was and where. But a lot of them ended up being like I think a pretty good fit. So I don't know. But
did you feel as though they knew how best to utilize you? Did you need to teach them how to utilize you? Did you know how to be utilized?
I think that was part of the problem. And I think too, I mean, a big part of it in general was a lot of like you're sitting in the smoke pit at night and you're all going, what are we doing, by the way? Like, we didn't even know what we were doing there. Like, what was the point and what we were doing there? Like, the big picture. So it was hard to be like, what's the best plan for tomorrow but yeah, mostly searching. And another big thing was like intel, talking to the women. And if I can get you like 50 yards of really nice cloth from this NGO and a nice shampoo and like a real ass sewing machine, like a foot, like what can you do for me? What can you tell me about, like, you know, and like house searches too. They would get word like, this is a bomb maker's house, while we're all over here. Like, can you go to the room with all the women and like check it out? Blah blah blah. Like, because they would use that to like, no, you can't see this part of the house. There are women here.
Right,
but they're like, well, we have this lady here who can go see, like, who can go check it out.
I didn't understand the intelligence component about it for a long time, because I always like looked at it like, you know, women in this country are like third-class citizens, like basically slaves, right? So like, what intel value can these people really have? But it was actually Alana Duffy, she's a CI. And she was telling stories about like, man, you have a woman scorned. And she will tell you fucking everything.
They would tell you about the neighbors. They would tell you about once you like had an in, it was very like, oh yeah, they would tell you.
Well,
like,
and that's the other thing is, you know, a PRT goes in to build a new well or whatever, and if the Taliban comes through and blows that up, and now women have to, you know, walk, you know, half a mile or a mile to the river to get their water, they're pissed. And the men may not tell you who the Taliban are or where they're going to, but the women sure will, because they're pissed.
Yep. And we had, at one point there was a program set up where you could come and get like food and seeds and blah blah blah, but it was like only one per family or whatever. And so the men started sending their wives and all their wives.
Can't tell.
So you can't tell. I'm sending all 6 of my wives, so we get 6 things whatever. And part of it was they had to sit in this waiting area, and I was in that waiting area being like, ladies, what's the tea? What's the latest? You know, like what's going
get
on
some
around
goss
here?
going
Yeah,
with
get
the
a little
ladies.
gossip going with an interpreter, and then at the end of every day, I would be in the COC with the top officers being like, here's the latest that I heard. Here's like the atmosphere today. So yeah, it was like a really.
Now, how did you guys work with interpreters? Did you have female interpreters, or did you utilize male interpreters?
That was one of the biggest problems, was the lack of, it was hard enough to get a regular interpreter, but a woman interpreter was like nearly impossible. And they were all the women interpreters, because in Afghanistan it was like all actual Afghans for the men, like who were volunteering with. Well, we saw how that's been going. They're still stuck over there. But this was they had to find American Afghan women who wanted to come back over and do it. Right. And so for the entire FET team, I think we had 3 that would revolve. Like, you get her next week, and then you guys get her the week after.
Yeah, the Cat 3 interpreters.
Yeah. So and so then what we would do was we'd just use the males, but he'd be on the other side of this screen, and then or he'd be on the other side of this cami netting, and we'd just be talking through. And a lot of charades.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed at how much you can get across with charades. So.
What were like some of the biggest successes that either you or like other FET members that you knew, FET team member?
Again, I try not to like look at it now, like the old vet, like, man, I don't know what we accomplished over there. What
Yeah.
was the point? Like, you know,
What's it
I try
all
not,
mean, Sarge?
yeah, what's
Yeah.
it all mean? You know, I try not to like spiral like that. I think it was more in the small, like, probably the biggest thing was like intelligence that got passed up sometimes that was probably valuable, especially like, hey, small heads up, this awful thing could happen tomorrow at this area. And like, maybe that was valuable sometimes. But I think like the relationships we made, maybe I'm naive, but one time one of the guys said to me, like, we can't go like 10 feet outside the wire without getting shot, except for when you guys come with us for some reason. Like every time you're outside the wire with us, nothing happens. Every time you're not, something does. And I don't know if that was just like a random fluke in that particular area, or like, had we made good enough relationships that, like, I don't know. I'm not sure. That probably sounds crazy, but like, that's something one of them said to me. So I don't know.
Now,
But
being that you guys were out with, you know, these infantry platoons slogging, and I don't know if because the Marine Corps has a great like CI program, a great intelligence program,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they had also females out with you. But did you guys get into sort of source development with this also, or was it just wherever you were, whoever, you know, that you would just talk to the women where you were?
what? I'm an idiot. What's source
Oh,
development?
just so like so basically. A woman maybe or women who live in a village where there's a lot of hot stuff, like basically developing her
would you
as an
really-
asset for reporting and things like that.
No, it was nothing like that. It was more like, if you get something great, but then you got to go over here tomorrow. Like, no, there was no like, yeah.
Yeah, where's Terry the
Steady.
Taliban today?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more like that, which ultimately, like, I'm talking up the best points I can think of, but overall, like, there was nothing super. I like never foiled the mega plot. You know, I never did anything that I feel like actually really, like, I don't know. But besides giving them a better idea of the atmosphere in the AO that day,
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what I did.
Yeah.
I want to give a
Yeah.
quick shout out to the sponsor for today's show.
Oh,
So you're well acquainted with this, how this
yes,
circus
I
goes,
am.
Kate.
Yeah.
So the first sponsor for tonight's show is Silent. They make these Faraday bags, different types of, these are, you know, waterproof bags that can fold on it themselves, and you can put your tablet in something like this, your cell phone in something like this, or a laptop, full-size laptop in one of these, and it blocks all signals from either penetrating into the bag or being emitted out of it. So if you wanted to go dark, so to speak, and have so that your cell phone cannot be tracked, you're maybe operating in a spooky area, doing spooky things, you can use one of these bags to accomplish that. So if you go to silent.com, that's SLNT.com, and you use the code TEAMHOUSE, you'll get 10% off your order. So it's SLNT.com, and the code is TEAMHOUSE to get 10% off your order. And I also want to give a shout out to the Team House podcast and live stream. We're really great, and I hope you'll like and subscribe to the channel. And there's also a link down below in the description to our Patreon if you want to get all of these episodes ad-free. And with no further ado, I will turn it over.
I just want to thank you for the shout out. That's very kind.
Yeah.
Shouting out.
I was thinking of
Sure
you.
like that.
I was really thinking of you.
Our other sponsor for tonight is BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp. Look, you know, mental health is a big issue for veterans, and it's a big issue in the population in general. And if you don't have like or you know whatever, you know, to find a local therapist, an organization, you know, an application like BetterHelp is a fantastic application. It's a fantastic company. You know, Jack and I have both lost a lot of friends, probably Kate too.
Yeah.
You know, we lose a lot of friends to these issues that if they had somebody to talk to, if, you know, they would sort of, you know, engage in the process, maybe those lives wouldn't be lost. And even if your challenges aren't that extreme, even if it's, you know, just anxiety or the stress of the day or, you know, whatever else, having good mental health is a foundation for a great life, a great relationship. I mean, hopefully a great job, everything else. So we really recommend our friends at BetterHelp. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/teamhouse today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/theteamhouse. Take care of yourselves, folks.
I've used them. hand up. It's so easy. I think the biggest hurdle is what a pain in the ass getting mental health help can be.
Yeah.
And it's so easy with BetterHelp. No free ads, but that's just the truth. So, fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
An endorsement, unpaid endorsement.
It's the perfect combo of ads. Are you a veteran with a lot of baggage? Go to SLNT.com and then call BetterHelp.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You can have the best of both worlds. Yeah.
We also advertise the VPN service because of all the deviant fucks out there. Yeah.
That's deviant.
I use VPNs, and I'm not deviant.
A likely,
they all say.
a likely story. Yeah.
VPNs are amazing.
No, I mean, yeah, the VPN service is great. I'm just saying.
Aura.com, yeah.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's out there.
And just so you guys know, everybody should have a Faraday bag. When you're traveling publicly, when you're moving through airports, when you're, honestly, like the number of attacks that can happen on your equipment by ne'er-do-wells, even if you're not traveling, to unknown places doing unknown things, protect yourself and take care of your mental health.
It's a great combo.
You only pay for a minute.
Yeah. I want to circle back to BetterHelp for a minute.
So how long? So how many trips did you do with the FET?
Just one. That was the only deployment with the FET team.
How long was that?
I think it was, I want to say it was 10 months, just about 10 months. At the time, I think the Marine Corps, I know the Army, they were doing like longer than a year slogs.
Some units.
But the Marines, if the units were going outside the wire, generally they tried to keep it shorter, I feel like. So ours was about 10 months, I think. But I still keep in touch with some of those infantry guys that, I feel like that was a unique thing too, as a dumb pogue, being able to see that firsthand and like see them in action was, I feel like not everybody gets to do that, and that was like a really valuable experience too.
Yeah.
Shape my understanding better of the big picture of everything. But so many of those guys, and like again, we were talking about this before the episode started, but like the up tempo of like special, like what they go through, but there's no time to stop and like to see these guys like lose somebody and then 2 hours later they're back outside the wire again, and just they're keeping it together, and they're like, just witnessing that firsthand gave me like a incredible new respect for everything. So,
and for such a long time too. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about before is like special operations are such a sexy mystique behind it.
Yeah,
but we're also doing generally pretty short trips, right? The trips are shorter. It's a high op tempo, but 60, 90 days, you're back to the States.
Yeah.
These, conventional units, Marine Corps and Army, are out there for almost a year plus, and living it every single day.
Yeah. Those
And
were some slogs.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first one. And then my second tour, so I got a secondary MOS in physical security. And now I can't look at a curb without being like, it should be like 3 inches higher. I could stop something from going over. Is it serpentines? A lot of serpentines in physical security, okay?
Yeah.
But I got a secondary MOS in physical security. And then the second deployment was on Camp Leatherneck. Big, massive, and it was physical security for there. So helping vet third country nationals, second, like who gets what access to parts of the camp, and sending up a giant blimp with cameras on it to deter, but that didn't work because the camp got attacked shortly after that, and like just all kinds of stuff like that. So it was very different from the first one, like living in a mud hut with 8 dudes, to the second one being like, who wants pizza tonight? I want Burger King. And very different. Yeah. And after the first one, I'm like, I'm a real pogue piece of shit. I'm a dumb bitch. Like it made me like hate myself, the second one. But yeah, so that was neat. It was sorry, I'm sorry.
No, good. That's good. So the first
such
one
a
was far
miserable
more
human
rewarding.
being. First one was far more rewarding. The second one, though, I had such a great group. So like half of my unit that time actually got to be with my unit on that deployment. And so half of them were actually they were like giving speeding tickets on Camp Leatherneck. They were doing like real police shit.
I believe
like
it.
Real pulling people over.
That was
like,
the big sign. We started giving out speeding tickets on fobs in Iraq.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
Should have pulled up stakes and
We're
fucking
done.
left.
Yep. that was...
We brought Garrison overseas with us.
That's what it was, like
Yeah.
Garrison overseas. And that while I was doing physical, I think I maybe got that physical security MOS because I knew that's what I'd be doing. If I didn't, I was like, I better pick up something else here before I end up doing that. But that was when I think it was Leon Panetta's plane landed and this guy had stolen a fuel truck and jumped on the hood. And one of my sergeants got a Purple Heart for peeling the guy who tried to run into Panetta's plane while he was on fire off
I
the
never
hood of
heard
his...
this story before.
Yeah, dude. It was like some crazy...
This was a Marine?
A Marine who's... No, so this Afghan who... There's like a ton of local Afghans who had access to the base. I'm probably butchering this story, but this truck went missing. The guy was missing for a couple days. Panetta lands, and all of a sudden this flaming truck is going across the tarmac with a guy who had lit himself on fire. And our MP guy was like, whoop, whoop, and he ended up like getting burns. And yeah, it was the
Holy
whole thing.
shit.
Yeah.
Did they announce Panetta's arrival or like trip? Is that how he knew, or was it just a target of opportunity?
I don't know. I'm like, want to Google it right now because somebody's probably like, Kate, none of that is true. But they call me Stolen Valor Katie on ZBT because I get shit wrong all the time.
At least you're stealing valor for others, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, bomber strikes near Afghan base. Oh, maybe it was right after he visited? Like a day or two. I was like yeah, whatever. Google it. You can see.
Either way, I had never heard the story of the self-immolating Afghan in the fuel truck and going towards the airplane.
If you look at it, probably all those details are off by a degree, but the gist of it is... Yeah,
in the ballpark.
is the gist of the ballpark. It's like, did you really serve? I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting to see too, like, the big workings of a camp like that. Like, I don't think people realized how much, like, how the contractors we outsourced, and like they each had their own little world within the camp that was their own domain, and
right.
some crazy shit went on amongst those two.
Tell us about the crazy shit.
Like finding like a guy escaping his, I'm gonna just pick a company here, his DynCorp secret whatever, and being like, they took all of our passports the second we got here, we've been trapped here, and like people were like being like held there working and not able to...
You were talking about like Nepalese and Ugandans and things?
Like foreigners coming to work there.
I believe that.
And like lax oversight of the contracting groups, which allowed for rampant, like cramming 80 dudes in a Connex box.
Right.
Paying them like barely anything, and they can't escape and call their family. Like crazy shit like that.
Now,
like,
a lot of times, was this the companies, or was this the foreign nationals that they would hire to manage the projects?
Yes, I think...
It was TCNs, yeah.
Yeah, it's TCNs, but like there'd be like a weekly meeting that I had to go to with the head of all the contractor groups there, which there were like 80 different main contract groups, and they each had their own like village that was gated and was their own private world. And there was such lax oversight of that that it was like the Wild West. Like, I don't think people realize the scale of what
happens is that all these companies are trying to underbid each other to get the contracts. So they're putting recklessly low, like criminally recklessly low bids. And that's why you would have like Nepalese quote unquote Gurkhas working like 20-hour days. And I remember one of those dudes hung himself from his guard tower. Dude,
the conditions that would eat, like, it would take like somebody like escaping almost and being like, please help us. It was...
I mean, it's basically human trafficking. I don't know what the difference is between what you're describing and human trafficking. It sounds identical.
Yeah, that was very eye-opening. And then like looking at the way Afghanistan ended and blah, blah, and a big part of the issues being like, well, all the contractors disappeared, and so all these promises we made, like, we don't have the paperwork for it. It was like, because you guys never cared what they did.
Right.
They like had free reign to do whatever so long as they were helping things like function out there. Like, you didn't care what they did, kind of thing. But yeah, that was...
You know, the Ugandans, they had like crime rings going on.
Oh, there was and like
male rape going on, and
crazy shit. And every day there was flights coming in, you know, like there booze and drugs and like all that shit was But every day this flight would come in and bring Dunkin' Donuts, and that was a real treat. So I was like, I'll overlook the cocaine. No, no, I'm just kidding. But there were donuts.
I mean, like any cop would, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I'm
just kidding.
Scratch my back with the donuts.
Yeah, we know you guys were just trying it out down at the station. Anyway.
Yeah, just to make sure it was real. But yeah. But I sound like the most negative. I'm like, anyways, it was all pointless. Bad.
No. I mean,
whatever. BetterHelp.
They were definitely like, we relied on contractors so much, and they, and they had accomplished a lot of stuff, like the housing. They accomplished so much that I don't think the military log system. But you're right that they would just be like the contracting officers, the military officers who were in charge of making sure everything was going like.
Yeah.
I think that they were kind of like, well, I know what company I'm working for when I get out for, a $300,000 a year salary. So
also a lot of the stuff around like people would throw around figures like there's 150 private contractors in Iraq or wherever, and people think those are like pot-bellied Blackwater guys, like mobile security shooting up, villages and stuff. But most of them were like the dudes that fix your air conditioner, the guys that serve your food, the guys that do the electricity, like perfectly normal people doing normal jobs.
Yep, a lot of logistics, a lot of like just basic stuff. And they would all be sitting there, be like, hey, come check this out. They'd be designing their $1 million homes back in Texas. And they're like, how fucking sick is this? And I'm like, I'm doing the same job as you, and I'm making minimum wage. What the hell? It was a really interesting. Both were eye-opening in their own way.
Yeah.
Both tours, but got to see the Kandahar Poo Pond that time. Got to travel a little bit, but
the Kandahar Poop Pond.
Yeah, the Kandahar Poo Pond. Up at the base in Kandahar, they collected all their poo in a giant pond, like a mega giant. If you've been, and people started putting like scarecrows and mannequins, like fishing in it, and like, dude, there's like a whole beach scene of mannequins that the troops built at this poo pond of like these mannequins enjoying the pond and relaxing. And a lot. This was the other thing too. I did a lot of. It was called like the BAT system, but to vet
the biometrics.
The biometrics where you'd scan their eyeballs and it would tell you like, it's a terrorist, like that kind of thing.
Bad guy,
And then one day we scanned our own eyeballs. We were bored waiting for a group to come in, and I popped up as like Abdul Rakim, whatever, like. It was like matching us to people. Like,
we were putting irises into that system for I don't know how many years before they came forward and said, all those readings were taken incorrectly.
Completely wrong. Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, there was that big camera that had like, it didn't have like a thumbprint or a fingerprint thing on it.
Bats and hides. That's what it was. Both.
Yeah.
We had the Cogent, and then after that came Crossmatch, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what they have now. I mean, now they have portable DNA.
That you can just
yeah.
But always awkward when a guy with a glass eye came in. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But.
So when you're at Kandahar, because you had been waiting on those, Dunkin' Donut flights, and I assume, you had the Burger King and the green beans. When you got to Kandahar, in addition to the Poop Pond, did you also get the Tim Hortons experience?
I did not. I didn't know there was Tim Hortons there.
Yep.
Idiot. I got to see what was his name?
Just burn pit exposure. Fuck.
Oh man, boy, oh boy.
Canadians build a nice base.
They really do.
Yeah.
Who sings that? I'll kick a boot up your ass. He
Uncle Sam's.
Who is that?
I can't remember.
He was at Kandahar when I went
on a USO tour.
And they were like, you have to go to I got volunteered to go, and then I had to fly back to Leatherneck, and that's where he was next, and I had to go to that too. So I was like, twice in a row. God damn it. You grunts don't understand how tough it is. I had to go to 2 country concerts.
War is brutal.
In 2 days.
War is brutal.
Don't know.
Experiences
Fries were too
differ.
hot. It's terrible. Yeah.
So, how long were you at Leatherneck, or how long was that tour?
That was actually kind of short. I want to say it was no more than 7 months. One of my, this is random, but we had a lot of different, our unit, which was like super tight knit. I had the best unit in the Marine Corps. I got really lucky, and I stayed with it despite going on the FET team. I got to stay, which is rare, I was in for almost 5 years, and I was always in the same unit. I never had to get, because of my deployment schedule at the halfway point when I should have gone to another base or another unit, they were like, fuck it, she'll just stay with this one the whole time. So we were like such a super tight-knit family. And by the time the second deployment came around, we all got to go because it was canine handlers, like the garrison kind of like MPs on Leatherneck and like physical security and whatever. And the K9 guys were going out, like they were being utilized and like going outside the wire all the time for different things. And one of my best buddies, we lost people on each tour from our unit. But towards the end of my second deployment, like one of my best buddies, only child, like was like 3 months away from his wedding, was about to go home in like 2 weeks. And he got taken out by a sniper. And it just like, I'd already been like having a little bit of trouble with like the why of it. Like, I don't know. And it just kind of like, I'm like not proud to say this, but like I just could not hold my shit together after that. Like I kind of, so they were looking at people to stagger and send home early. And they were like, you're done. You're going home early. Like I just like, I wasn't doing like, I don't know. I can't explain it, but it was bad. So I think like after 7 months, it's not like I had to get sent home because I wasn't, but they were sending people home anyways. So they're like, you get out of here, lunatic. I was like, yeah. So,
What around what year was this when you were?
This was, the second one was 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when that happened. And also too, like maybe part, like I was married by this point. Classic Marine on Marine. I'm divorced now, obviously. Spoiler alert, if you're in the military, you already know that's what happened. But he was also deployed at the same time. And I think they were being nice to me. They were like, we're going to send you home early so you can set up shop so that you're both not homeless when you get back. Like, they were so nice about it.
Yeah.
Which, again, shows like what kind of good unit I had.
Oh, because things were coming unraveled while you guys were overseas.
Yeah. I think they were like, you go, find an apartment so that,
right.
It seemed like they like made it seem like they were doing me a solid for logistics when probably really they were like, oh, she's losing her mind. She's like crazy. But yeah. Do I sound like a lunatic? Probably.
No, not at all.
No, like this is actually just sort of like baseline for the type of people that we have on the show. We've done far worse.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the self-sabotage and the self-loathing, we've hit much lower depths over the years.
Yeah. And I mean, so the Afghan war is 11 years in at this point.
Yep.
I'm sure that a lot of the Marines around you who they were also like what are we doing?
And I think for us, like, it was the second, we had lost guys on, and we were like such a tight-knit unit. Like, I got so lucky. Like, the leadership, like, it was just looking at what other, like, I look at it, I'm like, God, I was so lucky to be in such like an awesome, it felt like a family. And the first deployment, those like hit everybody hard, but the second one, when that happened and some other, like, lost some other people too, like, I feel like everybody kind of came a little unmoored a little bit.
Yeah.
And we had great leadership that like held everybody together, but like, that's when in the smoke pit it started being like, dude, what the fuck is the point? Like, why is he dead? Like, what is the point of this? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, those feelings just really started to like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when you're deployed over there and everyone's kind of like, "What's the mission? What are we doing here?" But then when it becomes very real,
very personal,
and like this guy who was in the gym with us yesterday and then chow hall with us is no longer here. Then it takes on a new level of like, what? Not only why am I here, but like, why did that guy die? Like,
and they're like on the bigger camps. You go into like, do you remember River City? Was that a thing for you guys? Where like they would cut off internet access to the whole camp and all the MWRs for a few days until the family got informed.
Oh.
And it started to be like River City, and you're sitting there and you're like, what are we doing, man? And like, it just really like, it was a really real mindfuck, I guess.
Was that sort of what led into your decision to get out of the Marines?
Yeah, that, and also I was just I was a good Marine, but I was never like
Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps material.
Right. Like, you teach me a drill today and tomorrow I'm like, sorry, I fucking forget already. Like, I don't know, like the rules and regulations, like none in one ear out the other. That's like in part why chaps in them call me Stolen Valor Katie. Like, you literally retained nothing. And I was like, yeah, I know. I like customs and courtesies. I remember I went on like a board once, like a meritorious promotion board, and they ask you, like, it's like American Idol, you walk in and this row like asks you all these questions, and I got every single one wrong, and they were all just like, are you even like, who the fuck sent this person in here? Like, shows it. So, I don't know. I was a good Marine, I swear. But I just, like, I knew. I think going into it, like, I wanted to really, like, go all in and drink the Kool-Aid. And I don't know if this sounds weird to say, but, like, use the Marine Corps to make myself a better person. And, like, I wanted to be something bigger than myself. And I wanted to, like, know what it was like to sacrifice and blah, blah, blah. Like, as dumb as that sounds. And I think I got everything. Like, I got so much out of my time. Like, that I was like, all right, and I got it.
I don't think that sounds dumb at all, to be honest with you. I think that, like, a lot of, you know, for a lot of people, the military is sort of a calling. Like, well, I want something bigger than me, right? And I want to feel as though I served. I want to feel as though somehow I contributed. I don't think that idea of sacrifice is, like, I don't think that sounds dumb at all.
Yeah, I think.
And I also think that, like you said, that there comes a point where you're like, okay, I did it.
And I was like, you know what? I did my time. Yeah, I just felt good about it, and I was ready to move on. And also, like, it's true. Like, some people are great leaders, and you can tell. And, like, I'll tell you right now, I'm not one of them. Like, I knew if I kept going forward, like, I had a couple Marines under me. And I was like, I suck at this, dude. Like, I'm the kind of person who's like, you run into me in the subway and I'm like, sorry. Like, I'm not like, get over here and do that. Like, I'm just not that kind of person. And from what I saw in the Marine Corps, I was like, nobody's going to take, like, it's just not, I just knew it wasn't me long term. So it's like, I'm going to do everyone a kindness, bow out well. Yeah.
With the talk around, like, the smoke pit and sort of people being demoralized in spite of great leadership.
Yeah.
Did your unit, were there a lot of people in your unit who were like, okay, like, I'm ringing the bell, like, I'm out?
I think it was kind of half and half. I think it's so cool to keep up with your buddies and be like, holy shit, you're a master gunny now. I remember, like, carrying you over my shoulder from the bar. That, like, wow, that's amazing. So I think a good amount, especially because of our leadership, a good amount stayed in. But there was a very large amount of us that ended up getting out. And I do think, like, disillusionment a little bit was part of it. Like, I don't know. But no, we had a good amount stay in, too. So.
And when you were getting ready to get out, what were your aspirations? Did you know what you were going to do?
No, God, I had no idea.
You have the GI Bill to finish that last semester.
I had the GI. Well, that's what I was like. Well, I have, like, a new perspective on everything. And again, I was still married at the time. And he was from New York City. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just follow you. Like, he got out a little bit before me. And we came to New York City. And thank God, because of the GI Bill, Fordham University was like, we don't care about that 1.8. You're guaranteed money. Come on in. And so I ended up getting into a great university here. And while I still didn't know what I wanted to do, I just stuck with communications because I can't do math. I was like, we're like the gym teachers of the business world.
Political science.
We're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. It's like, I'm not good at anything, so I'll either go poli-sci or communications. So I was like, I'll just stick with that, and it's New York City, and I'll get a cubicle job somewhere and whatever. But I got really lucky in that. Have you heard of The Mission Continues?
It rings a bell somewhere in the back of my mind. What is it?
It's almost like a program for released prisoners. It's like, we're going to help you reintegrate into society, but it was through volunteerism. So you would get a monthly grant so long as you volunteered a certain amount of hours with a specific cause of your choosing. So, and it kind of helped you. Like, I was new to New York City, didn't know anything, and I ended up volunteering with the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. This is very random, but they were building the 2nd Avenue subway line. And so I went up and down 2nd Avenue helping the small businesses because of the construction. It was like sending up rats and explosions, and all the streets were blocked off, and like all these, like, hundreds of small businesses were falling apart. And so I was like an advocacy outreach going from business to business. And it was a great intro to New York City to walk into a pizza place and be like, hi, I'm Kate, I'm here to help. And they're like, go fuck yourself. I'm like, all right, this is great. Like, okay, New York, New York. But it, like, really helped introduce me to the city, the people, and get a lay of the land. It was like a crash course in New York City, kind of. And through that program, by the way, it was started by Eric Greitens, who ended up becoming that
Navy SEAL
from Missouri who tied that hairdresser up in his basement. Yikes. But great program. Still a great program.
Yeah.
Anyways, not a great guy. Awesome program. But The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and at the time too, like, getting into New York City, and I'd always been interested in comedy, and like especially because in the Marine Corps, like holding court in the smoke pit, I always felt like, you know, in Dumb and Dumber when he's asleep at the scooter wheel and he pictures himself at that Christmas party and he's making everyone laugh really hard. Like that's how I pictured myself in the smoke pit a lot.
Right.
Like, I'm fucking killing it with these guys. I'm so funny right now. But they were just desperate for any kind of entertainment. But that like really sparked my interest in like entertainment kind of thing. So The Daily Show with Jon Stewart reached out to The Mission Continues and was like, do you have anyone in New York City who's interested in media? I'm doing this program at The Daily Show called the Veteran Immersion Program. And right away I was like, oh my God, me, like, yes. I only tell that because I always tell veterans getting out who are interested in like media and entertainment and like, what do I do? And I'm always like, the best thing you can do is like,
Start a podcast.
Start a podcast. But no, like I always say, like I feel like so many of the good things that happened to me came through like volunteering or doing shit in my free time, not like the main thing I was pursuing.
Right.
Was all the extra things that instead of going home and sitting on the couch at the end of the day, I started going to open mics and started like with a sketch group and started like volunteering with the mission. It was like all the shit you do on the side and all those people you meet increases your potential for success times like 20 billion. So that's what so anyway, sorry, that's why I'm saying that. But so my last semester at Fordham, I got to go over to The Daily Show once a week and sit in the writer's room, like from the morning all the way to the taping at the end, to sit there and see the process. And the writers were like, are you really interested in comedy? Here's the open mics you should start going to. Come with us and we'll show you like how to write a basic, because I didn't even know where to begin.
Right.
And you tell yourself like, that's great for them. There's no way I can actually do this. And it was the first time people like looked at me and I were like, no, you can. If I can do it, you can do it. Like whatever. And I think there's this veteran idea too of like, well, I'm like 10 years older than every kid in my class, and like I'm so far behind. It's what's the point? And they're like, especially like in media, they're like, it's never too late. It's not. So it was such an incredible group, from the producers to like even the lady that ran the teleprompter was like, you go, girl. Like everybody was so supportive there. And it was a group of veterans too. Like it connected me with all these veterans in New York City. And yeah, so from there I just, whatever. But I ended up getting a job at Comedy Central, like bottom of the totem pole production department, getting comedians to sign waivers and grabbing the coffees before whatever. And I did that for about 2 years. I'm rambling, but like, yeah, I just kind of, it was just like a long, like doing comedy and all that stuff. Then mental health caught up to me again a little bit. My ex at the time too had also gone through an extremely intense, his first deployment, and had hoped to get on the fire department, and that wasn't panning out, and like everything for him, like we were just falling apart. And I felt like if I lost him, I would lose my only connection to somebody who really knew what I went through in the Marine Corps, and I would be completely alone. And there was a lot of even within like the Fordham veterans group, still that attitude of like women aren't the same. Like you couldn't have possibly done the things we did because you're like, it was just this. I was like, if I lose him, I'm going to be the most isolated. Like I'm going to have nobody, and no one's going to believe anything I ever did or went like.
Right, you go into a VFW and guys smoking a cigarette.
I still feel afraid to go sometimes. Like I'm like, I wouldn't fit in there. I'm not. But like, I just felt like my whole world was like completely falling apart. So I had this job and was doing this comedy stuff, and I thought, and next thing you know, I'm living in my Aunt Peggy's basement in Delco outside Philly. Like it was like he fell apart, I fell apart completely. And all of a sudden I quit my job with like no notice, like this job that I thought was going to lead to like everything. And then, so next thing you know, I'm in my aunt's basement outside Philly. The holidays are approaching. I was a UPS driver helper for $12 an hour, like in the brown suit, dropping off packages. I'm like telling the poor drivers, I'm like, here's the story of my life. He's like, oh my God, it's just trying to get to my son's Christmas play tonight. Enough already. But like completely fell apart. And thought pretty much from there I was done. I was like, well, I started going to Delaware County Community College. I was like, I'll be a dental hygienist. And I don't know, I just picked that like out of the sky. I was like, I'll be a dental hygienist, and just like, who gives a shit what I do from here? Like, stop doing comedy, stop doing everything. And I actually started though a Twitter where I just started like bitching about life and like whatever. And then after about a year, this guy who did comedy in Philly was like, come to an open mic with me. Like, he like wrote this prompt at the top, like, what's funny about your divorce? Like, what's funny? There's got to be something funny about this. And I sat and thought, and like, one by one, I started to find things that were funny about it after a year of being like, I'm never going to laugh again. Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm dramatic if you can't tell. And once I could start to laugh at it again, I was like, I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be okay. And it was Chaps then. I started trying to make my Twitter funny, and I started trying to make an effort towards comedy again. I was working concessions where the 76ers play. So I'm like in a hairnet serving popcorn to my old high school buddies after like I had been this Marine who's working in comedy in New York. And it was like very humbling, you know, It was like a very like whatever. But that's when Chaps found me on Twitter.
This is Chaps' highbrow humor kicking in.
Chaps' highbrow humor, because I was on my lunch break from Delaware County Community College one day, and I got a calzone that looked like a vagina. And he had this blog series where he would blog on Barstool about foods that looked like genitals. And somebody tagged him, because I think we were both veterans online. A bunch of these like Marines were like, yo, Chaps, you got to blog this. She's a Marine. She's got this vagina calzone. And he slid in my DMs and was like, "Milady, saw your vagina calzone. Do you mind if I blog it on Barstool?" And I was like, "What's that? Blah, blah, blah." Once he heard I was a Marine, he invited me to come on Zero Blog 30. I went on the show, and I think he could tell I was like a little hard up in life. And he was like, we're looking for a social media person. He paid me out of his own pocket for like a year to do that. And then finally helped me get an interview with Dave Portnoy, the head of Barstool. And Dave was like, I don't know anything about it. It was like a sports company where everyone wears basketball shorts. I rolled up to the office here in New York wearing like a Kohl's like pleated I like clearly wasn't the right fit. And he was like, I don't know what your deal is, but if Chap says you're good, you're good. Like I didn't even have to show a resume. I just got like hired on the spot. And so I went from like, it was just, I don't know. I guess I'm saying that too because so many veterans who get out like feel like the trajectory is like this, and it's more it's more like this.
Can confirm.
No matter how I think it's like whether you're officer or enlisted, no matter what rank you are, no matter what you did, like I feel like we're told like you're a veteran, so when you get out you're gonna have all these advantages, and like that's true. The reason I am where I am today is because I'm in large part because I'm a veteran and the opportunities I was afforded from that. But like, don't be hard on yourself if it's looking like a mess because I'm telling you, dog chewing on my boot and Aston PA delivering a package at Christmas. Like what the fuck is my life right now? And now I have health insurance.
I mean, that's really the great, like,
Hang on. Things get better. But
if you don't mind talking about it, like you mentioned you used BetterHelp, but like, did you recognize like early on, like when you quit your job, did you recognize that you were going through stuff, or was it just more insidious that you just kind of were down? And
it was like, looking at it now, I'm a big journaler. I always have. I'm like writing shit down, and like looking back now, it started with just like having like bad thoughts, like everything. And I'm always hard on myself. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, man, he's going through a rough time and it was like, you like suck. Mm-hmm. Like this is all, you are not able to hold it together. Like you're supposed to be this like Marine and you can't even focus at your like low level job because you're like, I just started this awful self-talk, which just spiraled to the point where I was like, you shouldn't be here anymore. Mm-hmm. And then it like got to the point where it was like, here's the bus path to the George Washington Bridge, bitch. Mm-hmm. Check it out. Like, here's the hours where there's no traffic on it. Like here, like it's terrifying looking back at like how far down the rabbit hole I got in that. Cause I couldn't see life without him. I couldn't see life. And two, like, we had the same circle of Marine friends. So I was like, if I lose him, I lose all my, like, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to be completely like, I'm a failure at my marriage. I'm a failure at this job. I'm a failure at like, and you're so proud of being a Marine. You think you're at the end, like all of a sudden you're, I can't really explain it, but like, yeah, basically I was like done with life. And like the day I quit, I went and sat by the Hudson River, and I am the worst person in the world for forgetting the name of this We've done so much shit with them. Mental health care for veterans. Gosh, free. Oh my God.
Do you know how many Beta Breakers or no?
No. Oh my God. They like saved my life. And I'm just drawing like a stupid blank on it. We've been to their gala. Hold on. I'm sorry. This is probably the worst, but I have to look this up and say the.
And folks, in the meantime, if you have questions
Yeah.
for Kate, please get them in. She is here to answer all of your questions, no matter how outrageous.
I will answer literally anything. I'm such an asshole. The Headstrong Project.
Oh, Headstrong, right.
I went to the Hudson River and I was sitting there and I was scrolling Twitter and I was like just doom thinking, and I saw a tweet about the Headstrong Project because I like followed a big circle of veteran stuff on my Twitter, and it was like basically like, call us right now and we'll get you help right now, because I had tried to go through the VA, and I know there's so much good VA care out there and everything, but it was like a 5-month wait or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you're low like that too, even the process of like getting your VA card and registering can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
And the process of it, I had a bad experience, got told about the wait, and I was like, you're fucking done. Like, you're done. Like you can't even like make a VA like, it just made it worse.
Right.
And I saw this tweet that was like, call us now, and within 24 hours you'll be sitting talking to somebody. And I was like, fuck it, why not? So like right then and there, I called, and they had me in an office talking to a therapist like the next day.
Really?
And that was the first person I told, like, I think I want to die. And they were like, maybe don't. Hold on. And they started getting me regular help. And that is also what convinced me, because the marriage I was into was like really unhealthy and bad, really bad for me at that point. And she helped me get the peace of mind to know, like, you need to walk away, you need to get out of here, and you need to like, it truly, I think, Headstrong Project. I like swear to God, it like saved my life. And I'm so glad it did, because even then, like after that, it wasn't like an easy road. It wasn't like, well, I did that and now everything's getting better. Like, it actually got worse after that in a lot of ways. But at least I had a tether to something keeping me attached to reality at that point.
Right.
So, and someone like checking in on me who knew the reality of, because like you don't want to scare your parents or your friends. Or you don't want to burden, you feel like they wouldn't be, but at the time you feel like you don't want to burden people with like your shit.
Right.
So yeah, it was like the catalyst for like all the change that ended up getting me in a really good place where I am now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you bring up an interesting point. I think one of the reasons why veterans have really relied on sort of the check-in process in terms of, your friends who need help probably aren't going to ask for it because they don't want to feel like they're burdening anybody. Mm-hmm. They don't. Sometimes they don't even know. Like, they're just like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to.
It doesn't even occur to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when folks go silent, other people are like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard from so-and-so in X amount of time.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to check on them.
Yep. It's huge. And I think part of it too was in that span of time, like leading me up to that point, we 2 people to suicide, and like it becomes, well, it's
Right.
it's like
like a
a
little virus.
disease
It's a
kind
social
of. It's like a
contagion.
virus where you're like,
It
well,
really
they
is.
did it and
Yep.
whatever, and so like it just, you see that, and I don't know, it's
It really is.
yeah.
It's a social contagion. It's
Yeah.
one of those things where when it opens up the possibility, like you weren't
Yeah.
thinking about it before, and then something happens, and then you're like, oh, well, that doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing I'll say on that, please don't be like, you
No.
are rambling.
No.
I think another part of why, like, I'm very outspoken about, like, I was in during the times, I don't know if you've ever heard of, like, the Marines United scandal, but when it was basically a free-for-all against
We've
women
had
Marines
Laporte on the show.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know all about that. And, like, even last year, those sites still exist. They still pop up. And even last year, there was guys being like, look at this Barstool Marine chick. Does anybody have nudes of her? Does anybody have, like, people still try and do that stuff. And by the way, I do have nudes out there. So, bachelorette party, 07, flashed them. They're flying around the internet. But it was like, at the time especially, such a toxic, awful culture. Like, I had a good unit, but the overall feeling was still, like, even the guys that I knew and respected, I would hear them say things like, oh, you gotta meet Mannion. She's great for a female Marine. Like, stuff like that where, like, you still weren't one of them no matter what.
Uh-huh.
And I think why I'm so like outspoken about that stuff and why the culture I think still has to change is because I know that was another big factor in me getting to the point of like feeling so isolated when I was at my lowest, was looking at, because so much of our community is online now, and it was like I don't belong. Like all these male Marines seek help and they're like 22 a day, blah blah blah, and the same guys saying that are like, look at this fucking look, she's nothing, she's like whatever. And it was like, you care about those Marines, but you don't think I'm a Marine. You don't see me the same as you, no matter how many medals I have, no matter what I do. Like, I know you guys don't see me the same. And so it was this feeling of like, I've gotten over it now, but I used to not even bring it up ever to people. Like, even if they said they were a Marine, I wouldn't be like, oh, me too.
Yeah.
I'd be like, wow, thank you for your service, and never say it. Like,
there's a certain type of dude that was like never really able to transition out of the military. And not only that, they were never able to evolve beyond being an 18-year-old PFC living in the barracks. And I see it even with groups of guys of the units I served in. And it's like, dude, you guys, like, we're hitting our 40s now. Like, this is kind of unbecoming.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are acting like you're 18-year-olds and you're not. Like, it's just kind of sad at this point, you know?
It is. And it definitely, like, if you look at the rates of suicide in women veterans and the issues that we go through, I do believe a big part of it is that feeling excluded and feeling like you're not part of the tribe and you're not part of, like, I know I felt it. And still feel it sometimes. Like, I feel intimidated going to veteran events, and like I'm on a military podcast. It's like that's still there.
Well, I was in.
Not you guys, though. You're great.
Well, we're very progressive here.
You guys are wonderful.
In our man cave in the team house, telling dick jokes and occasionally vagina jokes now.
Yeah.
No, I was just down in DC, and I was asked to speak at a press conference. For an activist group or an advocacy group that fights, military sexual assault, and hearing these are sisters and mothers who their daughter was either murdered in the military or she committed suicide after she was assaulted.
Yep.
And like, when you're there and you see them speaking and their hands are shaking, it's like, what the fuck is going on in this?
Yep.
And I mean, I know because I've covered it as journalistically, but and I've talked to so many people, but I mean, and seeing it at that event, at the end of it, I was like, I need to go get a drink now. Like, this is intense.
I'm curious, before the show, we were talking about sort of the, because we were talking about the stuff at third group, and then like the 95%, and the 5% that like makes an issue, the of a group, any group, whatever. Do you feel as though the Marine Corps culture, by and large, is still toxic towards women? Do you think that it's just a certain amount of like outspoken, like social media or not social media, but like dudes on the internet? I mean, what's your take on that?
No, I think it's a problem from top to bottom, and I think it's an enormous failure of leadership all the way from the very top. The Marine Corps has been the slowest to do everything when it comes to integrating and when it comes to keeping us more equal. And like, if that means raising our standards, then fucking raise them. Like, whatever it takes, like, we'll meet them, we'll figure it out and figure it. But like, the Marine Corps has definitely been the slowest and the most hesitant to do all those things. And it's still that culture. Like, I remember when I was in boot camp, like, talk to any male Marine and they'll tell you their drill instructors were pounding it into their heads. Over there at 4th Battalion, they are sluts. They are nothing. They are worthless. Like, that was what was taught to them at boot camp, and that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
So it's like not just like 3% of them. It's they're all going into the fleet like, look at these worthless sluts, like whatever. And if you think that's not going to create trouble,
it's
you're
interesting
crazy.
You say that because like I never had any like bad experiences personally with female soldiers.
Yeah.
But that kind of mentality of the wives, the army wives, and what they're up to, and the female soldiers, and like they fill your brain with these horror stories. It's like when I was in the military, like I avoided female soldiers. Like, what's going to happen? Right,
they're a problem right off the bat.
Looking back on it, it's kind of like, holy shit! Like that was just like lies and bullshit that my head was filled with. You know, that had nothing to do with reality.
And I think a sick part of it, in some small way too, is like self-fulfilling, because that like. Not in a, I don't even know how to word this, but like when you're the only woman in your unit and you're seen and treated a certain way by like almost everybody, like that's gonna do something
Sure.
to
Right,
you, like
sure.
that,
Right.
like. And I just think too, like, we're this big ass powerful military with these great leaders and blah blah, and you can't figure this out.
Right.
It's not that complicated. I'm just the same. Like, I don't know. It's like this.
Well,
huge
the
fear
female
of-
Yeah, it's
reproductive
way more
system is a little.
complicated.
I will
we're-
say-
Yeah.
Here at the Team House, we haven't quite figured all of this out
Yeah,
yet. And
no.
we need to do an extensive
Yeah.
study
True.
to kind of ascertain exactly what is happening there. But
Yeah.
but
But
yes, we should be able to figure it out.
I'll say too, like in Marja, it was just me and one other woman, and you're in like close quarters.
Right.
It was never an issue. It was like literally never an issue for even a second to me. Like, I didn't mind like taking a shit in an ammo can with an Overwatch above. Like, it was never a thing. And
It attracts the bears.
I mean, I hadn't shaved my legs in 8 months. I didn't feel like anybody was fapping it to me in the Humvee. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it was never.
They
like,
were, though.
I'm sure that. I mean, come on. But I just like I never. Like, I know that it can be done. I know it can.
Right.
And if we can provide an asset, which I know we can, even outside of FET capacity, like
Right.
we are an asset. It's not even a question. We are, and you're wasting it because of shitty leadership. Like, we're right here, and you're missing a huge amount of talent because we're still, I think, being underestimated and disrespected. And like, I could go off on it forever, but like, obviously, it's a big issue
Yeah.
to me. And like,
do you think it's
crazy.
changing at all with like a younger generation that's kind of coming into the not just the Marines but into the military service in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still I still think it has like a long way to go, but I do think it's changing. And people are always like, "Well, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want to go." And I'm like, I hope like we need more women to go in to be the change and to like, I don't know. I do think it's getting better in a lot of ways, though, especially as more things open up to us. As much resistance as there is to that, and like, I hear the arguments and I get it, but like, I also served with infantry dudes who were like 5'2", 80 pounds. Are you going to drag the big guy when he falls? Like, that's the big argument against me. Like, are you going to do that? Like, I just feel like I get there's a thing with standards, but like, if I can meet the standards, who gives a shit? Like,
Do
what
you
do you care?
do you think that like the standards? Do you think that that is where some and I look we can write a lot of it off to just flat out sexism.
Yeah,
But do you
yeah.
think that some of the resentment like comes from sort of mandates and then people feeling like standards have to drop in order to meet those
Absolutely.
mandates?
Oh, totally. And it would be frustrating, like she gets to pick up because she had a higher PFT score because she only had to do like this when I had to do this, like, or I don't know. Or like a lot of times, because I was the only woman in my unit at first, they'd be like, they're all going to go on this hike. You're the girl, you stay back and do this like easy work while we're, and it's like, no, keep like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like it almost forces you into this easier.
Well, I, for
It's all
one, greatly
leadership.
enjoyed the consternation around, what is it, the ACFT in the Army, and the one leg tuck that women will have to perform, and apparently it was this huge outrage
Yeah.
that to do a single leg tuck.
Yeah. I mean, they flipped out when you could start wearing ponytails. The comments on
Yes.
military.com were like, there goes, whatever, blah, blah,
We're
blah.
gonna lose in a war to
It's
China.
like, dude, shut up. Man, you
I
sound
love
so
that.
dumb.
Any single thing that makes like a soldier's life a little bit better is like the automatic response is like, we're gonna lose in a war to China. Like,
Yeah.
because of paternity leave, really?
Right, because your troops feel more cared for and more prepared to whatever. But yeah, so that's, I could go off obviously about it all day, but like, I think it's still a huge issue.
Pop
I do
off.
think it's getting
Pop
better.
off.
But I am popping off about it. I don't know. But I have hope. And and I know it's still a problem because I still lurk in all like the female Marines pages on social media where they're like, you won't believe what my staff sergeant pulled today or said to me today. Like, it's still a long ways to go.
I mean,
Like,
what I was
Yeah.
referencing earlier, I mean, the stuff with like, Vanessa Guillen is like the most high profile case, but
Yep.
I mean, it's a reality.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. But I have hope. I have hope. It's getting better. Oh. Yeah.
Have you you know, in this time, and you said that you still talk to some of the guys that you serve, or some of the people from your unit,
Yeah.
and whatnot. Like, have any of the men like come forward? Like, are there like, do you find that there are people online, whether in the, you know, forums or social media, who will try and tell people like straighten up and fly right?
No, and I think that's one other. I keep being like, and that's one other part of it. That's like, I think another big part of it is that so many times, like I would see on Facebook when I was in, guys that I was friends with shit talking women Marines who were great to me, who
Right.
were like lovely, and we're like, no, the attitude was like, not you though, Mannion, you're cool. Like
Right.
it was like that. And I think a big part of it was so many other people like, well, I know our staff sergeant follows you and he hasn't said anything to you about you being a piece of shit online.
Right.
I know our captain knows what you're saying on here and he hasn't said anything to you. It was like so much complacency, again, amongst leadership and the other Marines, just letting other Marines be pieces of shit.
Right.
And not calling it out. And I think a huge part, like it means a lot to me when like I've seen certain accounts start to change, like big social media, like Pop Smoke and some of these others, like those big meme accounts, military meme accounts, like when they start to shift and actually be supportive of women and call shitbags out in the comments, like that sounds dumb and small, but that does actually matter. Like, I do think like calling your brothers out and sisters, like when they're fucking up and saying the wrong things, like that really matters. And that was never happening.
So this question here seems to be a sort of deep cut that I do not understand the reference.
Oh,
that,
no.
Isn't that the girl that is pretending to be Jacqueline Cross, who is the banker John Cross's granddaughter?
The banker, I don't know what that means.
It sounds like we're playing like Clue or something.
Oh, was it me with the candlestick in the
In the library.
I get a lot of doppelgangers that are super random, so maybe that's a doppelganger reference.
Have you read any of Steve Cole's books, Ghost Wars, Directorate S, and if so, what do you think?
I have not, but I bet they're lovely. I'm sure they're great.
I'd like to hear, this is Hammer and Nails, I'd like to hear Kate's best Delco story. Is that a Marine thing?
Oh, yo, go Birds. No, people just like hearing the Delco accent. Being from the Philly burbs, we're just huge pieces of shit down there. Man, my best Delco story. I've done a lot of... I don't know if I want to say. I don't know if I want to say.
Funny cigarettes?
A lot of funny cigarettes. Real poor choice one night during a blizzard at McGillicuddy's pub. May gone home with a guy with no electricity and a black cable box. He was a delight. Those Delco contractors, they'll get you. They're really no.
Why did he need cable if he had no electricity?
What's that?
Why did he need cable if he had no electricity?
It was pardon me, heat.
Oh, heat.
It was a blizzard, and it's like we're gonna have to bundle up in here. Anyway, there it was. No, Marines aren't sluts anyway. I went home with this contractor from Delco one night, and we were like chopping it up. No, Delco's a magical place, but off the top of my mind, nothing in particular.
We had one person. Let's thank the donation real quick. Thanks very much for the donation. We deeply appreciate it.
PJ says, Kate, Big Stoolie, I know you spoke about this earlier. Can you speak more in depth about how you went from a partier in college as an undergrad to Marine Corps boot camp? Congrats on your new addition.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that too was like that transition from being like, I'll say I was like a huge nose pierce lady. I was like a real piece of shit by the time I left college, like bad. And again, didn't know anything about the military. And I remember the day they went to ship me out, they do the final, like whatever. And I had I don't recommend going to boot camp with a giant Shamrock tramp stamp. The drill instructors are going to love that. And two, I tried to go with a belly button ring that had just encrusted itself into my stomach. I had a lip ring. I had to take that out. And they had to, like, literally as they're like, wait, the boss is here. Like, what? They had to cut it off with pliers. And then I would
Jesus fucking Christ.
I would go to I started going to church every Sunday in boot camp. I like drank I was singing the songs. I was like, I'm a change, whatever, like, you know. And I like really believe, like I really, and I'm gonna be different now. And they had at the final mass, you could go to confession. And I was like so earnest, and I went into that confession booth. And normally you're like, you know, I was mean to my mom and dad. I was like, Father, forgive me. I was snorting lines in college. Like I like said every horrible thing I'd ever done, and it was just like silence on the others. Like
the priest
like,
was fucking disgusted.
he was like,
your drill instructor kicks the
yeah. He said, go do 3 Hail Marys. I guess you're still going to hell. Yeah. It doesn't matter for you. It's too late. But I remember walking out of there being like, I'm a new person. But yeah, that transition was. I was almost like 170 pounds when I went to boot camp. It was beer. Like I drank so much beer. I lived in the rugby house and had a keg on a sled, like constantly just right outside my door. It was just
God bless.
Yeah, just constantly. Schlitz of all things. Shout out Pittsburgh. But anyway, I went to boot camp. I went from like a size 9 to a size 0. Like I put my all, like it really was. And I think it was the first time, too, I really saw... Because, you know, like, I'm going to go on a diet or I'm going to stop drinking for a while, but if your heart's not in it and there's no change, you're like, none of this stuff works. It was the first time I really put my mind to something and it worked.
Right. Plus, it's hard to get Schlitz. And
it's hard. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it was the circumstance, but it was the first time I saw that I really could change.
Yeah.
That, like, that's actually possible.
Yeah.
So.
And, I mean, honestly, like, the Marine Corps has boot camp down to a science.
Yes.
When it comes to destroying you...
Yeah.
You know, and destroying sort of everybody. And then building that group cohesion. And then finally, you know, in step by step. And then finally on graduation day, when, you know, you're marching, you know, the parade deck to graduation and your drill instructor's like, there's going to be some colonel in there you don't know who's going to say, you know, your Marine's good. But I'm going to be the first one to tell you, you know. It's like, oh.
It really, like, it fucking worked. And, like, for all the things I'm saying, like, this was bad about the Marine Corps and blah, 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 like, it's such, like, I always am, like, it's kind of the same as parenthood. It's, like, the most incredible thing on the planet and also the worst thing on the planet. It's, like, this is incredible and I'm never going to sleep again. It's, like, the duality of things. Like, that's how I feel about the Marine Corps. It was, like, there was bad and difficult things about it, but it was also one of the best things I've ever done. And sometimes I'm like, the fucking Marines, but I'm also very proud to be a Marine. Like, it's a very weird two things at once kind of feeling. But it definitely, like, it changed my life for the better, ultimately changed my life for the better. Yeah. So.
Was that one of, you know, coming from a great unit where you had good leadership and good cohesion, you know, obviously your marriage was its thing, but did you find yourself, like, adrift when you're out now? You know, there's civilians, they don't bond, I don't think, generally. Like when you go to even though I think a writer's room is probably pretty close, right? It's still not the same type of bonding as you know, a good unit.
Oh yeah, not even close. And I think that was it also too, being in the same unit. A lot of us, because of where our deployments fell, did our full 4 to 5 years all together. And normally you get split up, and so, like, we were really, really tight. And to be in a brand new city, like, my relationship and my only link to them falling apart, and it was very difficult at first. Like, your perspective as a veteran, like, I look at the veteran I was after year 1, so different than I was 3 years later, so different than my perspective 7 years later, so different than my perspective now. And, like, at first, it really was difficult being out, and, like, the culture, like, it really was a shock. You're in a bubble for however long. Like, truly a bubble. Like, you're not, and that is, like, to be separated from that and feel like people don't quite get where you're coming from. Especially being an older student, too. Like, where are we going, fellow cool teens, after class? They're like, you're 30. So, definitely. I think no matter how long you were in, like, did you guys experience that, like, feeling kind of...
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
I would
much.
imagine more so than...
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard making connections outside of that, or those types of connections when you're living around somebody, like 24/7, and you know,
Your best friends are your family, are your coworkers, you have everything right there. It's all you need.
Yeah, you see them at their best, you see them at their worst.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a unified mission. There's a purpose. You know.
Yep.
So absolutely, you know, and I think that, you know, when we talk about like veteran suicide, I think, you know, a lot of it people write off to post-traumatic stress, which is probably a large part of it. But there's also so much more going on.
Oh, yep, absolutely.
You know, there's a lack of purpose. There's a lack of belonging, you know. Yeah,
it can be really isolating in its own. Even if you're in a city surrounded by like 7 million people, you can feel like incredibly isolated.
Well, even more so, I think sometimes, especially in a city in New York where, you know, there aren't a lot of veterans and compared to, you know, the general population.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that you're meeting have never met a veteran.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have their own preconceived notions about, you know, you as a Marine, you having been in Afghanistan, you know, and what that might mean.
Oh yeah, I've even had a cousin come to visit, and she was here to do like go out or whatever. And when she told her friends like, "Oh, my cousin's a Marine and she's gonna come out," they were like, "Oh, like I don't know if she'll fit our vibe. We're very like whatever." And it's like that the image they had in their heads of what a Marine is and whatever. And it's like, no, I just like to get drunk, man. Like, no, I'm real chill. It's okay. Like almost all of us are very, very chill.
You're in a corporate space and like, are they going to come in and shoot us? Because, yeah.
So, it depends. But overall, very good. Very good. Let me shit on it for an hour and be like, but it was
yeah.
Well, that's
So
like
good.
that's like the interesting like juxtaposition that like so many people, even like I see like veterans who are like far left, like they got out and became like far left wing ideologues and stuff like that. But as far left as they try to go, as far anti-government as they try to be, same thing with right wing anti-government people. But as much as they're the deep state and this and that, but they're still like so in love with the military and so in love with you know the relationships they made and the experiences they had. Like as far as much as they're trying to run away from it, they can't escape it.
And it does on some level, because the civilian population doesn't know a lot of us, it does give you a clout that's hard to let go of, no matter how far either direction you go.
Yeah.
Well,
it's hard to not pull that card out.
It's also like you're right, Dave, in the sense that like in New York City, you're not going to meet too many other people who have those sorts of experiences. So it becomes like those sorts of people you communicate with online is like where you end up bullshitting about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like that's cool, and then you have to kind of like set that aside and live in the real world, and
or you have a podcast where you can bullshit.
Yeah, or you know,
we're the ultimate example of like the slackers that like can't totally put it aside and you know reminisce and live vicariously through other veterans.
We talk about. Like, say I went to Ohio State and it's 20 years later and I'm still at the tailgate being like, woo, let's go. And I'm like, that's us with the Marine Corps. Like, we're still a decade later being like, let's talk about it again today. You know, like, whatever.
That's why, like, I mean, we try not to do that. We try to have, like, other people on to talk about their experiences. And then I don't have to feel so much like I'm Uncle Rico. Listen me through this football.
That I could throw.
Could have won state.
I could have won state.
Yeah.
Makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know, but they're also the great bonding experience. Because even if people didn't serve in the same units, you know, in the same field or whatever, if you ate shit in Afghanistan, you ate shit in Afghanistan. You know, like if, you know, it was the same dirt, you know, or whatever. It's just, it's challenging. And New York is, you know, it's an odd city for, you know, for that sometimes.
I actually love like the anonymity of it, and that like I can go outside and nobody knows anything about me.
You can sob on the subway and nobody will bug it. You can
not only do they not know anything about me, they don't give a fuck about
exactly.
me.
You can
fuck about me.
No, what I meant though was in terms of like the veteran. Like I know for a fact I've been turned down for an apartment because like the people in it, you know, are 10 years younger than me, found out as a veteran, and they weren't quite sure
what
that would mean.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of baggage, both like positive and negative. Like you said,
you're
there's
right.
clout,
it can go either way.
There's clout. There are people like, oh
way.
my God, you know, that's so cool.
Yep.
You know, and then there's, you know, and then there's the, well, I don't know if this person's gonna like have post-traumatic stress and come in and shoot everybody here. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's
Roll the
interesting.
dice.
Yeah.
man.
Roll the dice.
Yeah.
What kind
It's
of
New
veteran
York-
employee is
yeah.
that?
It's New York City, man. I mean, enjoy the circus.
So when you started at Barstool, what did they tell you what you're going to be doing? Did they ask you what you wanted to do? How did that work?
So the one thing that was clear was that I was being brought on to. I wasn't even a co-host of Zero Blog 30 yet. I had a little segment at the end of each episode, besides doing their social media, that I called Kate's Corner, where I'd read like women's Marine Corps history story for 5 minutes or like whatever, which I don't think anyone listened to, and I think was just, again, people doing me a kindness. Lots of kindness is done to me in my life. And then slowly I started eking my way onto the show, and by that point, that's when I got the job at Barstool. And right around then, they had inked a deal with Sirius XM and put a radio studio in. And Chaps was like, I'm going to have a radio show, and part of my selling point to Dave is that you're going to be my co-host on the radio too. So it won't just be ZBT, it'll be radio. And also I had started to write a few guest blogs. The blog was huge. It's still a pretty big thing, but the blog was huge. So I started writing a couple guest blogs under his name that started to do well, so I could show Dave, like, look, I really can get numbers and do whatever. So as soon as I got there, it was ZBT. I signed up, and he was like, you have like 2 weeks to move to New York. The radio show is starting. And then writing. So it was like those three things. But outside of that, nobody, especially switching from the Marine Corps to this, nobody tells you what to do. Like even your own podcast, like we can decide tomorrow, well, we're just not going to do next week, which we don't, but like you're your own boss. No one tells you what to do. Everything you do is on your own initiative, and nobody ever tells you no. So I'd be like, oh, the Indy 500 is this weekend. Dave, like any question I ever asked him as a boss, the answer was always yes. Dave, this is last minute, but can I have money and a cameraman to go to the Indy 500 tomorrow? Yes. Can I have but the videos you made, the content you made, like it was all completely on you. And that was the first time nobody was ever telling me what to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not great at that at first. So there have been times like I felt I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, what is my job? Like, what am I? And to like motivate yourself without somebody like yelling at you, because nobody tells you like you're doing great, it's like on you. And when the yearly review comes up and they look, it's like, what have you done? Like, what have you done this year? Because no one's babysitting you. So that's been really interesting. Like,
I hope we have fuck you money one day where D can go to, can I go to this Indy 500? And I'll be like, yeah, sure, dude.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
go
what
for
of it? Yeah,
go for it.
There was the best one I ever did was, have you heard of the Sausage Castle?
I have not.
No.
Tell us all about it.
Yes, we have to hear about the sausage.
Have you heard of the Sausage Castle? His name is Mike Busey, and he owns this massive property somewhere in the swamps outside Orlando. And it's this big gated, like 20-acre big lake and boats and go-kart track and a boxing ring, and like you are a member, so you pay to be a member, and he throws parties several times throughout the month. It's almost like a Playboy Mansion kind of thing. And there's hot girls everywhere, and there's like porn playing on the TV. It's like there's amusement park rides and it's like
this is Florida man shit.
This is Florida man shit,
Yeah.
like big time. And every Veterans Day, they throw a free blowjob party for veterans. It's free haircuts and free blowjobs. And it's
Is it either or can you get both?
Both. And it's only
I would go, but only for the haircut.
only for the haircut.
Only
Yeah,
for the haircut.
Let's do a little wax
I'm
job
saying
on
that
you.
publicly now. If I ever go, it's
Yeah.
only for the haircut.
Well, so many people, year after year, because I've been at Barstool now since 2018, and year after year, people would tag me and be like, Kate, somebody's got to go to
True.
this thing and see
They're not wrong.
And by the way, it's a lot of veterans. Only one lady doing the blowjobs.
Really?
And her name is Jenny Jizz.
Gladys. Oh.
Her name's Jenny Jizz, and her husband Mike, the cum artist. I don't know. I hope you don't get like people mad at you for this, but
They're mad at us anyway for everything all the time. So I mean, carry on.
So, and this makes it even worse. I was like, it's on Veterans Day, and they like promote it, and you don't have to be a member of the club. Like any veteran is welcome that day. Free meal, free haircut, free party. They even have like veteran service groups set up tables, like whatever. And there's festival rides, and they bring in like live boxing. Like he really truly goes all out.
We should go, Dave. The rides sound like they're
It's
a lot of
great.
fun.
There's a pool, there's whatever. And so I asked Dave, I was like, can I go to this veteran blowjob party. And I was like, this is probably the worst part. I was like 6 months pregnant. I was like very visibly pregnant with my first child at this point. And he was like, sure, go ahead, why not? So I go, and my boyfriend Pat was my cameraman for this, because I was like, I don't know what the HR rules are if I can make another employee come and be the cameraman at a blowjob party. So my boyfriend Pat, who does production in his own world anyway, came to be my cameraman. It was veterans from every branch, officer, enlisted. There was women veterans there too who were completely welcome.
Is she equal opportunity? Jenny Jones or
Jenny Jizz?
Jenny Jizz.
No, but I think there would have been fellas happy to volunteer had a lady wanted such a thing. But first they do all the festivities, and then tell me when to stop because I'll
continue.
Okay. Then it comes time for the main event, the blowjobs, and they line it up by who had the longest time in service, the most deployments, like they figured out a ranking system for who gets to go first.
Holy
so
cow.
like the guy with the biggest stack is the first lucky one who gets to like whatever. And then from there, and by the end, it's a lot of events. And like it was strange and bizarre and a crazy thing to watch. And like none of them cared that we were there. They were all happy to like, yeah, I heard about it on the radio today, so I came over to get my blowjob. I did 2 tours in Iraq.
God bless.
God bless. Nice to meet you. And we did an interview with Jenny Jizz, and she was like the loveliest. We still text from time to time. She's like lovely.
She's on Twitter.
She is. She's great. But it was like the land of misfit toys almost, where all the veterans, and not all of them got blowjob, like people who felt like they didn't have a place to go.
They just want to come and have beers.
It was like morbid, but also like I genuinely felt like it was very heartwarming at the same time. Because if you were the veteran who didn't quite fit in these other places, like
you end up here.
You could go to the sausage castle and nobody, you could do no wrong.
Judgment.
You were welcome and you were thanked and you were given a meal and a fancy night where people appreciated you.
You said Rise and Lake, or I mean,
there was so much other stuff to do. Like it was really like there was a lot of cum, but there was a lot of camaraderie too. You know, it was like a nice mix of both. Yeah, it was a good. I don't know. It was like weirdly heartwarming. It was repulsive and heartwarming at the same time. Is all I'll say.
I bet this event has gotten increasingly popular over the years.
It really has. And the video, if you want to look it up, I have a video. Barstool Sports Veterans Day blowjob party. You can see the whole thing.
Now, do people travel far and wide for this?
Yes, there was people who came from like California. People came from like very far. There was also guys there who were active duty who weren't supposed to be there, who like snuck out to go. Like there was people from all over the place that were there.
Well, that's like claiming VA benefits when you're still on active duty.
That's true.
That's just wrong.
That's true.
Yeah.
A waste of resources.
But I mean, this is like thanking people for their service to a whole new level.
It really.
Yeah.
And the best part was too, when the initial blowjob started, it started off with Lee Greenwood's "Proud to be an American," and to watch.
Oh yeah, you're severely pregnant in this video.
Yes, yeah, and he has like AK-47s on his walls and like.
And she's literally wrapped in it's an American flag
shawl
shirt,
or like a shirt.
Oh yeah, I wore, and too like at one point before
this is the kind of hard-hitting journalism I wish they let me do. But instead I have to write about national security.
But that's the great thing about Barstool. I can be like, here's this wacky thing. Can I have funds to go? And they're like, sure. And I'm like, and by the way, it's tomorrow. And they're like, sure, go ahead. And like, you just never get told no. And so it's on you if you fail kind of thing.
Is this the guy who owns it?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, honestly, though.
What a hero.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, that's.
Yep.
It's really I know, but it's really generous to like open his place.
To blowjob.
Yeah,
Dude.
but no, blowjob regardless.
Sexual
just like to open up his place and to like feed people and you know, like it's a very like you say, heartwarming thing.
It really, and it was like he says it's like for the land of the misfit toys kind of, and like and they were there and they had a place to go and they had like but it does matter, like, you know, like veterans who are freaks deserve as much respect as veterans
respect our troops.
Yeah.
Now, did did the veterans who were there not want to be filmed because like I don't want to be associated with this?
Honest to God, not a single one of them cared. They
Wow.
were doing interviews. They were doing posts.
You go there for Jenny Jizz. Do you really give a shit if
Oh,
you end
no.
up on video?
Did you get a lap dance?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Very nice.
It was funny too. Like,
This is a sort of participatory journalism that I feel like I can like wrap my hands around and
Jack,
sort of
pitch,
understand.
Jack, pitch that to Connecting Vets. See what
Yeah,
they say.
yeah. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see
yeah.
how that goes.
but I mean,
See,
there
that-
are all these like really interesting little veteran worlds out there. And,
Yeah.
like that people don't.
I feel like I've wasted my life.
And,
Yeah,
and I mean,
it's-
how great for your boss to basically just be a yes man and
Yep.
support like whatever
blowjob
sort
party.
of well, and the Indy 500 and and like
But mostly the blowjob.
But
Yeah,
mostly
mostly
the
the
blowjob
blowjob
party,
party,
and
yeah.
that's mostly the thing. But
Guys,
like,
he's the Prez, dude. He's El Prez.
he's
the
El
best.
Prez, and it really is, as long as the other great thing about is you're allowed to fail. Like, I've had ideas that have cost money that have completely flopped, and it's never like, well, your last thing sucks, so you gotta like whatever. It's always
Right.
like, well, as long as you're doing something and you're trying,
Right.
keep going, and
Right,
and then
right.
things
Right.
hit, and then you get more,
Right.
a little more room to do blah 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 blah. But like, you're allowed to fail there. You're very rarely told no. It's like super rare, and everything's on your own initiative. Like, everything is kind of on you. So it's like you just can't get complacent. Like, I think that's the only time people
Right.
fail there is when they like, oh, this is fucking sweet.
So-
I'm
so,
gonna
like,
take
what-
it easy
what's,
for a week and like,
Like what's the next big, milestone? What's the next sausage castle?
man, that's a great question. And I kind of want to get back. I think COVID fucked a lot of shit up. And like, and now that I have a toddler, it's much harder to be like, I'm going to go away for 2 or 3 days and do, like, it has definitely changed the way I do content now. I can't do the stuff I used to do. And now I'm doing it again. So it's like, I don't know. It's definitely changed the way, because I used to do a ton of videos and pick up and go like all over the place to do whatever, like the most random shit. And now I don't do that so much anymore. So I am trying to figure out the next thing. I want to do like a extreme home makeover VFW show where I get to like just
We put homeless
tear-
vets in tiny homes.
Yeah, exactly. I want to do something like that where I'm unqualified and I do half-ass
Right.
renovation jobs and leave
Right.
them with thousands of dollars in taxes.
well, I mean, if
Yeah.
you do that, then you'll get a multi-million-dollar contracting gig for the DoD.
Yes.
Do
probably.
Doing their housing.
Do like
Yeah.
MTV Cribs.
I could do that.
Yeah.
But there's so much. There's Libo Risk. Do you follow them at all? It's like,
We're kind of like old and lame. I
Old
don't
and-
know about this stuff.
but it's like this. She's a Marine who she like got really into travel after she got out, and now she has this page where they do all kinds of awesome trips places, and
Okay.
I don't know. It's just, there's definitely like really unique military-esque groups out there that I'd like to deep dive into more
Yeah.
and check out, but I don't know what's next. I don't know what the
It's
next
like
thing is.
someone asked us a question about like some psyops girl that's on Twitch, and I'm like, I am way too old to know what the fuck that even is. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. What Twitch
The
is?
Donbass Shiva
What?
girl who's like a Navy officer. Or
Oh no, that's different. Yeah,
Well,
that's
Oh,
really wild.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold
Yes.
on. Need to know more.
Yeah, I don't know all the details. I know
Yeah.
it was a Navy officer, right? Was she an officer? I don't remember, but she changed her name.
Yes.
And then she became basically like a PR. She said she was over there, right? And she was PR for Russia or
For
something like that?
Russia. And she like, her avatar was like a very mysterious, sexy.
I did see this in the
and
news.
she was like Donbass Dakshuva or whatever. And like I think she,
she was following the template of Syria girl.
yes. And I think she shared, I could be getting this wrong, that Jack Teixeira guy who did the docu. I think she like shared a couple of those. And then it turns out it's like a Navy electricians officer named like Jenna Dooby-Doop from Wisconsin.
I'm Jenna Jizz from
And
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was Jenny Jizz all along.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
maybe that'll be my next thing. Maybe I'll pretend to be like sexy, like Russian online.
it's interesting because it's like you said, like with being a veteran, there is a certain amount of clout, but it's really weird how you have to use that clout, but it it will. First off, there are so many like liars out there, right? People who, real stolen
Sarah
valor.
Kavanaugh's of the
Who
world
was
and,
that? He was the politician who claimed that his records were sealed, that he had spent all this time in Afghanistan or something, and he was
Yes.
an aircraft
He was running
loader
for it.
Yes.
I
or
don't think
something
he
like
won,
that.
though.
Who was that, D?
Laporta did a story about him. He was running. I don't think he won though.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it rings a bell.
Yeah.
And then you have like crypto techs who claim they were Navy SEALs who get clout. But yeah, it's weird in, for the people who were actually, who did the job they said they did,
Yep.
regardless of what that job was, and either get their clout from that or because of what they're doing now. Hey, have at it. Like, if you went to Harvard, you tell law firms you went to Harvard Law, right? You don't hold
Yep.
that back. If that can help you somehow, then say you did it.
Absolutely. Yep.
But people who were either completely, never did anything, or people who did something but then say they did something else.
Yeah, like
It's
the
really
people
weird.
I've met who have done like the craziest stuff in war are like, you would never pick them up out of a lineup. You're like just a totally regular dude, like just like a normal guy that you would never suspect. Like, oh yeah, that guy's a war hero. Like that guy did crazy shit.
Well, I think too that's another part of the culture that like it is fun to poke fun at us pogues and like, but I do think it breeds this insecurity within troops who want to feel like they want the people back home to think that they're a fucking Navy SEAL, and they feel ashamed that they just were like a logistician or something, when really that's something to be proud of. Did you do your job well?
But it's
Then
even
be
weirder
proud
when
of
it
yourself.
like really was a guy who really was like a forced recon Marine, or really was like a SF guy or something. But they're telling all these like weird stories and stuff. Like, what?
Or they, or they create awards, or it's. I think that for some personalities, no matter what they did, it'll never be enough.
Yep.
And you know what I mean?
There's this guy, my parents live in a 55 and up community, and there's this guy. He's like written books, like I think he's like self-published, but he's always telling he was like an Intel decoder or something and blah, blah, blah. And then there's like two other guys who were also in the similar realm as him, and they'll see him talking to my dad and they'll be like, that guy didn't do any of the things he just said he did. We promise you, we don't know what's wrong with him, but like he's embellishing, like, it's just like why do you feel? Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
I'm gonna be that guy when I'm in the 50 and up community. I'm gonna be like telling all kinds
I was.
Wazoo war stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am in the 50 and up community, and I am that guy.
Yeah, there you go. But
Just
it's
ask
an
me how
interesting-
awesome I am.
A lot of characters out there. That's all I know.
We got a question. If Jenny Jizz thanks you for your service, believe her. Kate,
It's true. She thanked me.
how could fit have been better utilized? Maybe he means fat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I guess like you asked me where the units were they aware of your capabilities kind of? I think them being better briefed on what we could do, and I think the culture being a little better where we were more easily accepted, so that sometimes like we'd get somewhere and they'd just like leave us sitting in a tent for 3 days doing nothing before they're like, well, try them out. Like I think that could have helped. And I think from the start, training women more equally to men so that we're not a liability. Like, don't you want us to be trained as well as you, man? If there is the possibility we could be out there with you, why would you be so resistant to us doing the things you do? So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question at all, but I think that's the...
Kate, who do you see Detroit picking at number 6?
Oh, if this is a sports question, then you know me, Is it a sports question?
I
It
guess.
sounds like it. That sounds like a sports
shit.
question.
Skeeter Davis.
Is that a real name, or you just
No, I
making
just made that
up?
up.
Are you
Yeah.
as sports illiterate as I am? Like,
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I do all the time? I'll Google, like, I'll look up, like, CBS Sport. I'll, like, read a couple sentences and be like, did you guys see blah, blah, blah? And people are like, oh, Katie Sports, faking it. Faking every single thing I say. just in for
Yeah, when
tailgates.
Cons was here and he's like, yeah, I played sports and sports and sports and sports. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
I played sports.
Respect, but I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I've played sports in high school, like every season, but I don't know. Like, I can tell you every creature that appeared in the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Like, I know them all by
Yeah.
name.
I have a feeling that's true.
Yeah, but yeah, if you turn on the TV on any sport and two teams are playing, I probably won't know who they are.
You should do, pardon my take, one of the Barstool podcasts, they do like once a month. One of their episodes is just playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Dude,
they like get really into it.
Have
Kate.
Dave over.
Yeah.
We'll,
Hey,
come
Kate,
on
if you can get these guys on PMT to do
Wait, that's in
Dungeons
New
and
York you do
Dragons,
that?
I would forever.
At their studio, yeah, they're like Dungeons and Dragons, man. It's like they have a guy. They have like a big
dungeon master?
Dungeon master, yeah.
Oh, can we come? We'd love to.
I'll have to find out when
Yeah.
the next night is.
It's just the biggest podcast that Barstool has.
But still,
But
I mean,
still,
I'm telling you, I'd be forever in your debt if you got these
If
guys
we
to
could get
do
a Dungeons and
D&D.
these
Dragons
nerds
thing.
on there.
Dude, we will come in cosplay.
Yeah.
We will come
Oh,
LARP.
they dress up- they
we'll come
like-
LARPed up.
Well,
Yeah.
when I came in here actually this afternoon, there were some kids out on the street corner over there. One of them was wearing like the elf ears. There was some subculture stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
It was an eclectic neighborhood. There's some.
Yep.
They looked like trench coat mafia kids. I was like, oh boy.
people, that's a common misconception about the military. There's so many, no offense,
Oh yeah.
nerds.
Yeah, there are.
Anime guy, boy, are there anime guys?
Yes.
My goodness.
Yes, ma'am.
My goodness, are they there?
Yeah.
And a lot of there's a healthy gaming community in the.
You want to hear?
military.
So since we're going on this whole like milieu of like crazy sex stories, I have a crazy military.
What?
I have a crazy
on.
military anime story, hentai story.
Oh boy, okay.
So there's that one tunnel rat kid in every platoon, right?
Yes.
And this is prior to streaming and all of that. This is 2005. And so it's all DVDs, right? And
Yeah.
everyone's passing around DVDs. And you're trying to trade, and who has something new to watch. And there was an obsession with the OC at the time.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, we were crazy about that.
Yep.
So there's that one tunnel rat kid in the platoon is like, Sergeant, I have these DVDs. And so my squad leader takes them, and we watch them in the hooch, and we're watching them. And one of them was like, it was like there's some Black Mass type shit going on.
Yeah.
And like me and my squad leader were like Murph, this is kind of freaking me out. And I'm like, this is kind of freaking me out too, Sergeant.
Yeah.
And then they're like, And
Yeah.
then we put on the other one, and it's like there's this woman who she gets herself in these precarious situations all the time where
Yeah.
like she's about to get gang raped, like in the showers of her like local pool, or like
Wait, this is hentai?
it's hentai, or like going through a park
Yeah.
or something like that, and all these guys are gonna rape her, but she has this tattoo on her back of a demon. So like they're tearing her clothes off, and as they're doing this, the demon tattoo comes alive, turns into a real demon, and starts raping all the dudes. They're like, we're like, and like we're watching this, like, and as we're like watching this, like kind of freaked out, the door to our hooch like flies open. And our platoon sergeant is standing there with like the angelic lights shining from behind his head and
Like,
stuff
what
like that.
did I just
And me
walk
and
in on?
me and my squad leader look at each other and just start laughing. And VA is like, "What the fuck are you two watching?" And like comes like stomping over
Yeah.
and looks at what we're watching. And is like, "What the fuck is wrong with you two?"
It was the tunnel rat. He brought us these things, and we like whatever.
And storms out of there, and it was like, "Oh my god, what's going on here?"
I'll never forget. I was in MP school when the porno. There was the movie Pirates of the Caribbean came out, but then the porn Pirates came out.
Yeah.
I was in MP school when that came out, and did you just pop your couch?
No, it's
It was
this.
But it was like a phenomenon. I was over in my own little barracks, but it was like
It was a
I
thing.
remember it
Wait,
was like
it was
a
a
thing.
movie?
Was it like a
based on
viewing
Pirates of the
event
Caribbean?
where?
Yes, but it was a
like,
porn.
It was a viewing event where they had like stadium seating.
It was like
and
all the
everyone's,
guys-
like very
yes.
seriously like.
It was it was like one of the biggest budget porns of all time, like a 2-hour saga that was like actually beautifully shot and like
Really?
millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, and it was like the best porn ever made, and like I remember that.
Well, if
The
I
guys
ever
were
watch
like, "Sorry,
it,
we're all watching Pirates."
it-
Tonight. We
yeah,
can't hang
if
out."
I
It's
ever
like,
watch
all
it,
right.
it's only gonna be for
alone
the
in the
cinema.
smoke pit. Like
I was gonna say, if I ever watch it, it's only gonna be for the cinematography.
you gotta check it out.
Yeah.
No free ads.
Dave reads Playboy for the articles.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it's about.
Right. That's fine.
Is that still a magazine?
Is it?
It's still around, I think.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
You probably have subscribers. Stop lying.
no, I was like, I came
There's
up
no
like
shame in it.
VHS tapes,
Yeah.
like that was the thing.
Yeah.
But I do like in Afghanistan and Iraq, dudes that always go up to like the DVD salesman is like, I don't know. Do you have anything else?
Yeah. How do you say it?
And then these,
Wink,
because
wink.
they'd have all their pirated DVDs spread across their tables, and guys would just go, "Do you have anything else?" I go, well, I do have these, and he reach out and bring out a case of,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
weird
I
stuff.
remember like full blown arguments in our during mission briefs before we go out on ops in
Yeah.
Iraq, like about the OC and like who's sleeping with who, and there's like arguments breaking out, squad leaders yelling at each other and stuff. It was hardcore, man.
Those shows that the like 2-9 and 3-6 and it's in Marja. And what was the show? It was like the Superman show on the CW with Zod. What is it? They were
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all obsessed with Smallville, and like that. It was just so funny to see the juxtaposition of
Who was the girl in the
what?
OC? Was it Marsha?
Misha Barton.
Misha Barton. Yep. Ryan. That whole crew was great.
Yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
is she a hoe or is that one a hoe? Like, what's going? Yeah,
Yep.
there's some vicious arguments breaking out. It's a way to break the tension.
That should be like a rewatch podcast. Like
Yeah,
you and
there's a
your
way to
former
break the
Ranger
tension
buddies
before we all
watching
go
OC
outside the
again.
wire and we think we're gonna die.
Yep. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I forget what Khan's show was, but he said like I feel like every unit had that show like that, like some dumb soap
Yeah,
opera
yeah.
drama show that was like the thing.
Yeah,
the
because somebody would start watching it, and then like, yeah,
And the DVDs
More
are getting
people
traded around, and it turns into like a big argument in the ops end, like, who has disc 5? Motherfucker, who has disc 5? You're hoarding the disc.
Yep.
People
Yeah.
screaming at each other.
Ours
Yeah.
was share drives. It was like who's got
Oh,
Oh, yeah, the
Right,
share.
right.
That's a different. That's
fancy.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, or like watching a movie when it's released, and it was pirate. Like somebody was. So you're sitting there, and people are getting up and walking. You're like, or this. People are walking in front of the camera.
Yeah.
When you're trying to watch
yeah.
it. Remember we watched one of the Matrix. I can't remember which one it was, but like 2 or 3 or whatever when it came out, and it was like.
Buying them was always such a gamble because
Yeah.
you never knew. Is this
Right,
even going to be in
right.
English? Is it going to
Yeah.
be any? Probably
Yeah.
not. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That and sitting like in a team room full of like dudes, and you watch something like something sad like with Slumdog Millionaire, and there's like this unspoken agreement that nobody is going to like turn their head at all. Everybody's just like there. You got like tears
One
coming
single
down.
tear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got tears coming down, and like
Yep.
but nobody will look at each other.
Oh no! Here's a nerd story. In Iraq, I played Neverwinter Nights. I beat that game on my laptop in between missions.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Neverwinter Nights is a Dungeons and Dragons computer game.
Oh,
Yes.
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So.
My claim to fame.
You guys would fit right in at that veterans blowjob party. You guys would be. You're perfect for it. No offense. That's
Shoe-ins.
yeah. Coming up.
Yeah. What did he say? What was his term for the guys who showed up?
Like Land of Misfit
Misfit
Toys.
Toys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're like the Land of Misfit Toys for.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Final questions here for Kate. If you have any, get them in. Okay, the Jenny Jizz question. I think we got.
Lovely.
I was a janitor at an aquatic park. Shh. These
Laporte.
people aren't comfortable in their own skin.
Oh, I think the people who lie about their service.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
also
yeah.
me. That's very true. Just an awkward lady.
I've loved spending the evening with Kate.
Us too.
Do you know a guy named Tyler?
Tyler, no. He sounds
So
great.
maybe he just means tonight then.
And then, of course, the time that Jack watched Bible Black instead of Ice Princess. Dude, that is a deep cut right there because that guy put his finger on exactly what we watched. That must
So
be...
you weren't alone. That was making the rounds.
Yeah, no. That guy right there, Wilbur Adams,
Abrams.
that's a bullshit name. That guy knows exactly what we watched, and he's exactly correct.
And Ice Princess was.
Was like a Disney movie. That was making the
Oh, I was
rounds,
thinking
too.
Ice Pirates. Never mind.
And one of my privates, his mother made him do figure skating like well into later in life, and he was so bitter. Like watching that Ice Princess movie, he'd get all red in the face. He was like so angry watching it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe that's him.
How many times do you guys watch Ice Princess?
Numerous.
Yeah. A lot of
Numerous times.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's like an extremely deep cut. That's someone there who has carnal knowledge. Only like maybe like 2 to 3 people would maybe know that.
Well, now several thousand.
Now,
Know
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Now many people do.
About 30,000 in a month or so.
Yeah, no, that was Bible Black was the one where it was like Black Mass.
Okay.
And we were like looking at it like.
Yeah.
and Ice Princess was like the Disney movie. It was like, you know how in the PX they have like 3 movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Ice Princess
was
of
the
them.
one. Yeah. That is funny. It would be interesting to like talk to each unit that deployed together and be like, what was your little cultural thing? What was your like
what was
niche?
the series?
Yeah,
that-
what was your
Yeah,
series? What
Yeah.
was your porn? What was your this? What was your that? Like, who was the celebrity that you all heard died that didn't really die? Like, who? I feel like that was always a big thing too.
So, Kate, what's the next step with Zero Blog 30 or with your life, your career? Where do you
Yeah.
see yourself going?
That's a great question because like
Sort of existential question. I'm sorry, but
it is. I try not to like pigeonhole myself. Like Barstool now, there's so much younger talent there who are so creative and so funny and so like millions of followers on TikTok. And I'm turning gray. I'm having my second kid, and I feel like it's harder to be like, sup, fellow
Hey,
kid,
fellow
like,
kids.
yeah, what's going on? Like, I feel like it's less cool when I get hammered, drunk, and rolling puddles in Philly now. Like, people are like it's more sad than funny now that you're doing that. But I don't know. I'm going to hold on to this as long as I can. This is like the best job I've ever had in my whole life. And so help me God. I'll be a janitor at the next office if I have to. Best job, best people. I feel like it gets this bad rep. There's been like these hippies that like gets bad rap for certain things, but my experience has actually been the opposite. Like, especially coming out of the military, and especially for like a woman in media. I know it's not like the most serious media. I don't have to wear makeup or brush my hair. I come into work in my pajamas half the time, and I'm on camera every day, and nobody says a word. Like, you know, like it's been the most supportive place. When I got pregnant, they're like, "All right, cool." It's just been like the best, most supportive place I've ever worked in my entire life, and I think I'm gonna keep rolling with them as long as I possibly can. But I do hope to start doing more videos. I hope. ZBT is going to keep rolling. Chaps is moving to Chicago. I'm moving to Chicago. We'll actually be in studio together, which I think makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like doing it for years over Zoom, like, you know, I think it'll give us like a fresh shot. And I just hope like getting back into the veteran community more to do good things. I feel like it's very easy to get detached sometimes. And like you can hear me like sounding bitter, and then then I'll go and do a veteran meetup or something like that, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah. These people are wonderful. Like, it's so good to be around you all. And this is, like, amazing. So, hopefully, more stuff of that. Like I said, we're hoping to do some stuff with, like, fixing up VFWs. Like, genuinely. That was great. We did, in the winter, there was a VFW that flooded outside Philly. The Gladwin VFW, like, to the roof during a freak hurricane thing. Like, how often does that hit Philly? And the Stoolies and Dave donated like tens of thousands of dollars, like no questions asked at the drop of a dime. Stoolies donated a ton. I just got to go back, and there's like still Korean War veterans and Vietnam veterans there who like, one of the guys was like, the day I got home from Vietnam, I drove right to this VFW. I've been here ever since. Like, it was so, and to like, after being detached for so long, especially after COVID and like being, and then to get back into it and be like, oh yeah, this is important. It is important to get together with other veterans, and like, I don't know, that was like really reinvigorating to me. Sorry, that was a long answer, but like I hope to get more into that side of things too.
What about your like your comedy writing? Is that something you ever want to go back to? Or I mean, you probably do it, but you know, TV or things like that.
Yeah, I just started writing again, like, because we can write a blog whenever we want to for the site, and it's easy. Like, that's the easiest thing to get lazy about because you're doing all this other stuff. And I just started writing again, and like writing to be funny and writing. Like, I used to sit every day after work on my way home from Barstool. I would like stop at my corner pub, have a couple Guinnesses for dinner, and write jokes and funny, like whatever. And it's like, right, like practice. It's something, the more you do it, the better you get at it, the easier it is. Like joke writing is almost kind of, and I really fell out of that. And like, I do want to get back into that. And I used to do stand up and open mics and all that stuff. And I would really love to get back into that again. So, write a book about my high-speed combat experience and lie in it. And, I want to make some, I'll be honest, I want to make some shit up and make some money. That'd be sick. But yeah, I don't know what's ahead, but definitely something in the creative realm. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time.
Well, we're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Where can do you hear our church upstairs?
This, I was wondering.
Yeah,
I played it cool, but I was wondering what the hell that
Yeah.
is. Funky.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a church.
It
Yeah,
is.
like an hour into it, I start getting into it.
Yeah.
This is great. What if you two are actually sucking people into the church, and that's why I'm here? Are you here? Let's get her to talk about the tough parts of her life.
Yeah.
When she's most vulnerable, take her upstairs. She's baptized.
I could do that, but you'd have to pay me for it.
All right.
Where can people find you?
On the L train in about 20 minutes. And then, at Kate Barstool on Twitter, at Kate Barstool on Instagram, at Kate Barstool Sports on TikTok, and then on the blog. Definitely, like, speaking of holding on to veterans for clout, I attach Barstool to everything. Otherwise, people will be like, who's this old lady talking to me? And then Zero Blog 30 podcast. It comes out now. It's once a week right now. It comes out every Wednesday. And we do have interviews, but for the most part, we just hit the hot rounds of the week. Here's the top military or government or whatever news stories. We try to keep it pretty middle of the road, and our main goal is to feel like you're sitting in the smoke pit with your buddies, just like talking about the latest, like whatever. Like none of us know what we're talking about, and we openly admit it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Barstool Rough and Rowdy?
Oh man, yes. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
So there was this amateur in Wheeling, West Virginia. I'm probably getting this wrong too, but like it started in like a small arena there. Just locals who had beef with each other. It's like, this Friday night, do you hate somebody in town? You want to kick their ass? Do they agree to it? Come to this local boxing match. And it was like dudes in jeans and dudes out of the mines 10 minutes ago, like Fight Club type shit. And the locals fucking loved it. And it blew up and it became this thing. And somehow Barstool caught wind of it. And Dave was like, I want to buy this and take it to other cities like Newport, Rhode Island, and like Delco type, like places where people have beefs and want to fight each other. Have you've watched them, right? Like it's people in the ring in like khaki cutoffs and boot, like some people who've never, some good fighters, some people who've never fought before who kick ass because they're just and it's the craziest personalities you've ever met. So it's amateur boxing, but it's also the most entertaining boxing I've ever watched. And like before each fight, they'll go to the hometown and you get little snippets of who each fighter is and what they're fighting for, and it's the local deli guy's always shorting him on the meat on his hoagie and like, fuck him. It's like the most random shit like ever. And it's just super entertaining. So yes, I've been to a couple Rough and Rowdies. Actually, we did one, Red, White, and Bruised, right outside Fort Bragg. And we got a ton of military guys to sign up to fight each other and stuff like that. And then the day of the fights, and sold a ton, they did like a ton of free tickets for the military at Fort Bragg, and like completely sold out. And of course, CBT was there because military fighters, blah, blah. And that day they sent out a base-wide message saying, none of you motherfuckers better be at this event. Like, none of you. And so there was a scramble to replace fighters and blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
but almost all of them still showed up anyway.
Right.
And we're just like, just don't put us on camera. Don't put us on camera. But it was like, this whole event is televised. So I don't know if you're going to get. But it was awesome. It was like so much fun. It's like a big party of just, and it's a pay-per-view. So we have one coming up in a few weeks. It's like $19 and it's like really fun. They got Bill Burr, big name comedians usually help do the.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and it's like instead of like actual boxing commentary, it's like, look at this guy's haircut. It's like more like a roast of each boxer. But it's like the most, I'm rambling again, but it's a very unique event. It's like very fun to watch. So I would never do one myself though. I did, I went to this weekend actually, Talladega, the NASCAR event. I went to do a video there a couple years ago and signed up to do the barbecue sauce wrestling. And a bunch of my coworkers put a ton of money on me since I'm a Marine.
Yeah.
And I got my ass beat immediately. So.
Well, you hadn't had you been training in barbecue sauce?
No, and the girl I fought was from like Pigeon Holler, Tennessee, and she had just beaten 15 girls, and she grabbed me by the back of my hair and like drowned me in the sauce, and I got beat like immediately. It was very embarrassing. So no, I'm not doing one. I'm not doing a rough and rowdy. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
So, want to let people know that next, on Tuesday, we have Roger Lockshire, who is a Huey pilot flying MACV-SOG guys across the fence. He's going to be here on Tuesday. And then on Friday, we're going to have Christopher Miller, who is the Secretary of Defense and a Special Forces officer. So he'll be on the show on Friday. So,
Am I the least technical person you've ever had here? Am I like the dumbest guest you've ever had?
no,
be.
you're not dumb, nor are you the least technical person we've ever had on the show. We have had chaps and cons.
Oh, touche. Oh, that was the perfect answer. Thank you so much for that.
Oh my god.
Thanks.
Ch-
It's a delight.
Chaps is a pretty smart guy, but Cons was like smooth as sandpaper. It's like nice guy, but
Great
nice guy, but
both great.
So, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for making the hike out here to
Thanks
Brooklyn.
for having me. This was like a free. Thanks for letting me just sit here and bitch about things. This was great.
The sort of like rambling
I didn't
free
know why you haven't been
association, I
here
love
before.
it.
If you're over in New Jersey, like you haven't.
Anytime you need a guest filler or someone to talk about
You're
vaginas
on.
or
I have been emailing Kate for like 7-8 months. Chaps put me on an email thread with her.
never check my email.
Yeah.
I'm the
And then I
worst.
finally got
I don't
with
answer
Cons.
text
You see how
messages.
Dee just called you out and put you on the spot
Yeah.
like that?
So I've been trying. I promise I've been
Well,
trying.
thank you for being persistent because this was awesome. And this is great. Thank you. This is so much fun.
We want you back,
You guys-
and especially once you can drink again, we'll
Episode 300.
Episode, yeah.
The
Mega
mayhem.
party, yeah.
The mayhem that pursues.
Okay. This, yeah. If I could rip, smoking indoors is my favorite thing, and I really love it. And mom of the year, but I see the ashtray there, and I think I'll be back. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
No, we don't allow New York to dictate our smoking policy. I guess that's national now, though, isn't it? You can't smoke indoors anywhere, can you?
Nashville, I think.
Oh, really?
Yep. There's
On
certain
Vegas.
bars in Nashville, Atlantic City.
I think Vegas you still can too.
Yeah, there's some renegade shit going on around here that we kind of do our own thing. And listen, come and find us if you want us, DOJ.
Or don't. Or don't. It's okay.
just
If
go
you're the
do your
Canadian government, you can come find us. If you're DOJ, we're good. Stay where you are.
I got an email from. There's like probably like saying more than I should on a live stream, but like I got an email from DOJ today. They wanted my help with something, and I was like, can't you guys do your own homework?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get emails occasionally from like various federal agencies like, can you help me with this or that? And it's like,
Yeah.
not really. No, I can't. Like, you should.
Why? Because
kinda...
they think you have like your finger on the pulse of kind of like more of an overview
So,
of stuff. Or?
honestly, I think they're just lazy and they want. Really,
answer.
because they ask me questions where it's like, it's stuff that they could do on their own,
Yeah.
and it's like, why are you wasting my fucking time with this?
Plus, you don't really want to turn on me.
yeah. It's all about.
Dude, if they ask me about you, I'd give it all
Yeah.
up. I don't give a shit, but.
I just got an email too about this guy.
But it's insulting when I feel like my tax I pay taxes. Like, you should do your own homework.
Well,
why are you?
They should give you a tax credit if you help them.
Exactly, Dave.
Yeah. Yep.
You're exactly right.
Your federal funds.
And so, yeah, all of you federal agencies who keep sliding into my inbox,
Yeah.
go away unless you want to give me tax credits, and then we can talk.
Damn it.
Kate,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This is
Thanks
a
for
treat.
coming by.
This was
Deeply
awesome.
appreciate
I had
it.
so much fun. It's
Yeah.
great to meet you finally. and-
Yes.
Yeah. This is great.
Yes.
Thanks.
And we definitely want to have you back soon.
That would be awesome. I'm
Next
always
week.
around. I'm always lurking.
Tuesday.
So,
Yeah.
Lurking in
yeah,
the
I'm
Facebook
always
groups.
lurking.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. All right, thanks.
So we will see you guys on Tuesday and then again on Friday. So Tuesday, Roger Lockshear, McVie Sog Huey pilot, and Friday with former Secretary of Defense Chris Miller. And take care. Have a nice
Thanks,
week,
everybody.
guys.